to the trap. Get him out! Come on, damn it! Let's go!
Recognize what's on their shoulders?
Yeah. The artifacts you removed from the sarcophagus seem to be their weapon.
Start!
Welcome everyone to a massive video on the Predator franchise. And yes, I'm going to be including the AVP movies because no one seems to give those movies the respect they deserve, so I shall do it myself. Now, this incredible franchise all began back in 1987 with the release of Predator. And if by some divine reason you haven't seen this movie yet, please do so immediately. This movie is awesome. Just listen to some of the cast members that are in this film. Arnold Schwarzenegger, one of the greatest action stars of all time, 7-time Mr. Olympia, Carl Weathers, aka Apollo Creed, and for you guys that didn't know, he also played in the NFL for 2 seasons for the Oakland Raiders, and Jesse Ventura, who used to be a professional wrestler. I mean, the manliest of manliest men are in this movie. And that checks out because this movie is probably the manliest movie I've ever seen. So it starts off with a shot of space and you see the alien aircraft approaching Earth, and then a piece of it breaks off and burns through the Earth's atmosphere. Now, I must include this. This opening is almost identical to another one of my favorite movies, The Thing, where we also see an alien spaceship burn through the Earth's atmosphere. But then we cut to a military helicopter landing on a beach, and then a bunch of soldiers, our protagonists, come out of it, and then we finally see Big Arnold in the back smoking a cigar. So Dutch goes inside to speak with the general, and the general informs him that the cabinet minister was traveling and got straight off course, and they think they're in guerrilla hands, so they need to go rescue them. And Dutch is like, why didn't you use the regular army? And in the background, you hear Dylan, played by Carl Weathers, and this is probably the most iconic handshake ever. These two athletic freaks just shake hands and then arm wrestle at the same time, and you just see these biceps just popping out. Anyways, Dylan joins the conversation and tells Dutch that he will be joining the mission, which is to rescue these hostages and hop back through the border. We cut to helicopters flying in the jungle, and we get introduced to the crew of guys. And I have to point this out, there's one character that's always shaving for some reason, but he has no hair. Like he never throughout the movie has a strand of hair on his face, yet he's always shaving. I guess he wants that like baby smooth skin, you know what I'm saying? And Jesse Ventura, I think, is like passing around chewing tobacco. I felt it was important to mention this scene because not long after, he spits on Carl Weathers' boot, and then Carl Weather leans in and tells him to approach. And when I first saw this movie, remember, I saw Rocky before I saw this movie. When I saw this, I was like, oh shit, Apollo about to throw hands. I was so ready for a fight right here, and nothing happens. So they all finally get down from the helicopters. They're exploring the jungle, and they find another helicopter just hanging from the trees. It's completely wrecked. Everyone inside is dead. The guy examining the wreck goes to Dutch, telling him that they got taken out by a heat seeker, which I had no idea what that is. Then Billy jumps into the conversation telling Dutch that he's found other tracks. They track it down and they find 3 bodies hanging upside down, all of them skinned. It's quite surprising to me that no one seems to talk about this moment in this movie. Everyone talks about all the other stuff, yet there's men without their skin and they show it, and yet this is not one of the most memorable scenes that anyone talks about. Anyways, one of them tosses over a tag to Dutch, and he actually knows the men that were skinned. And I love this next line of dialogue. Dutch goes up to Billy asking him what happened here, and Billy responds by saying it was really strange. He's like, they were shooting in every direction, and Dutch was like, they ran into an ambush, and he's like, I don't think so. And he's like, what? And he tells him he can't find a single other track. This is something the movie does phenomenally. They build up the Predator so well, and the mystery. You don't see this creature for a good amount of the movie, and you don't know anything about it. So they give you hints and they drop clues here and there, kind of just adding to the mystery. Like, what the fuck is happening? Who are these men shooting at?
Why are these men skinned? Why is there a helicopter that got taken out by a heat seeker? Like,
and it gets even more and more mysterious as you go. You're like, what the because not too long after, you see the Predator's heat vision, but yet you still don't know what you're dealing with. You're just seeing this heat signature from a different perspective from the soldiers. So you're like, what is, someone's looking at them. Anyways, they finally find the camp where the guerrillas took the hostages, and Arnold takes his binoculars to investigate, and he sees one of the guerrillas shoot the hostages. So he's like, we gotta move in now. And this next scene is wild. They just start massacring these gorillas. I mean, these gorillas can't put up a fight. It's ridiculous. First of all, the amount of explosions in this scene blows my mind. Every grenade they throw blows up like a goddamn missile. I don't know if you guys, I mean, I'm not a soldier or anything, but this is how a grenade looks like in real life. A lot more anticlimactic than you expected, right? Like, there's no flames, smoke blowing up in the air. Like, let's count all the explosions in this scene. Are you ready? Also, some of the weapons some of these soldiers have seem ridiculous. The minigun, the portable minigun, that seems wild. If you're a soldier, I feel like you would want to be agile. You want to be able to move quickly and take cover, right? Like, that gun is so big and so ineffective for moving around and being quick. I mean, yes, it destroys everything in its path, but I don't think a foot soldier, I mean, every time I see a minigun, I feel like they're attached to a helicopter, like a truck, like it has to be on something, bro. This guy's just carrying it around. And there's some quotable lines here. You got Arnold throwing the knife, telling the guys stick around, or him barging through a door saying knock knock, but there's no line better than my favorite line. When one of the soldiers goes up to Jesse Ventura's character and is like, you're shot, man, you're bleeding. And he's like, nah, I ain't got time to bleed. The most badass line of all time. But once this insane firefight finally comes to a stop, Arnold is put into a tricky situation because he knocks out some girl that was behind him. And he's like, well, I can't kill her. So he decides, like, I'm just gonna leave her here. But then Mac runs into Dutch and tells him, from the looks of it, our cabinet minister was CIA. And he's like, the other guys they waxed were Russian military advisors. He's like, something pretty big was gonna happen here. And then Dutch confronts Dylan that they set them up. And Dylan tells him that it's because nobody else could have pulled this mission off. And the last part of this conversation, Arnold looks at him like, what happened to you, Dylan? Like, used to be a man I could trust. And then he's like, I woke up. The reason I mentioned this is because the amount of memes I've seen on this line, hopefully I can pull one up, are so funny.
What happened to you, Dylan? You used to be somebody I could trust.
Dylan says we gotta bring the girl. Dutch is like, no deal. And he's like, you're still under orders, Major. So he brings the girl with them. This is what I love about this movie. Obviously, I mentioned earlier how they drop hints and clues about what this thing is. Seeing from the Predator's perspective, him studying the soldiers after like the fight is such an immersive scene because you're seeing it through the heat vision. You're hearing all these weird alien noises, like just so creepy. And he's like replaying the things that they said, like, anytime, turn around. Getting the laugh and everything, it's such a good setup because the payoffs of that are so good later on in the film. And you do see his hand, so obviously he's human-like, but nothing too big yet. Just little small details here and there. Now we cut back to the soldiers who are traveling through the forest, and then Billy out of nowhere gets spooked and just stopped walking and is staring out into the trees. Everyone's like, what the fuck is happening? So Dutch approaches Billy very slowly. Jesus Christ, look at that arm. And he asks him, what do you see? And he's like, something past those trees. And the girl that was taken hostage makes a run for it. So one soldier goes running after her. And when he finally catches up with her, he gets attacked by this mysterious thing that's been following them. And all we see is blood splattering across her face. When the rest of the team catches up, they're like, what the fuck happened? And all she can come up with is that the jungle came alive and took him. And they just see his intestines on the ground. This is such an effective scene for building suspense, in my opinion. Because if you're in the shoes of the soldiers, you'll be like, okay, whatever. The forest came alive and took her. Like, shut up. She's crazy. But then when you see his intestines intestines on the ground and his body's nowhere to be found. You're like, wait a minute, this skinny, helpless girl couldn't have overpowered this elite soldier with automatic weapons and she's tied with a zip tie, and it happened so fast. Like, none of this makes sense. So then you're like, okay, so the jungle came alive? What the fuck? And if your theory is gorillas did it, well, that doesn't make sense because Dutch says, why didn't they take the radio? Why didn't they take his weapon? Why didn't she run? And now we cut to Jesse Ventura's character with the minigun trying to find this son of a bitch, and he gets shot dead by some blue beam from the skies. You're like, what is happening? And Mac comes to check on him and he sees the outline of the predator, and the predator flashes its yellow eyes at him and he just goes ape shit, just shooting into the forest, and actually hits the predator because you see its blood on the leaf. Now, I need to mention this. A lot of people don't think of Predator as a cosmic horror, right? Cosmic horror is a very specific type of horror. The best way to describe it is fear of the unknown. But if you know the father of cosmic horror, H.P. Lovecraft, a lot of the monsters that he depicts in his stories make people go insane just by the mere fact of looking at them. If you see one of H.P. Lovecraft's The Great Ones, like his eldritch beings, just looking at it will make you go insane. Look at me and tell me that's not this scene right here. Max sees something he literally cannot explain. It's invisible flashing yellow eyes and he goes insane, brother. He empties out his gun, just firing like crazy. These men are trained to be calm in the most stressful situation. He completely loses his cool. So much so that when his gun runs out of bullets, he picks up the minigun, just starts firing like crazy. Everyone else starts firing into the forest blindly, which, by the way, one of the most epic scenes ever, just like everything is just popping off. You're like, oh my gosh. But even when the minigun runs out of bullets, he's still holding on the trigger. It's still going. They're like, Max, stop. Like, he just completely lost his mind just by looking at the predator. Tell me that's not cosmic horror. I figured it out. So Dutch tells one of the men to go check the perimeter and he finds nothing. No blood, no bodies. We hit nothing, which is quite interesting because they're supposed to be like these elite soldiers and they're super good at tracking shit and everything, like Billy. Yet the girl in zip ties who has no experience finds the blood on the leaf. Like, how were you checking the perimeter or not? Anyways, they set up a trap to catch the bastard and Mac walks up to Dutch, and then this is when we realize that Mac had like a really good friendship with Jesse Ventura's character, so he's kind of sad and he really wants to get back at this thing because in the night sky you see him talking to the moon.
He's like, and I'm gonna cut your name right into it. I'm gonna cut your name.
Like, you're like, oh god, this guy wants revenge. We also get a scene where we see the predator doing surgery on himself, and this is the first time we get a full look at the predator for a split second, not too long. And then when he pulls that shit out, he like screams, and then for a split second you just see him grabbing his leg on the tree. So they're all waiting and they get together to talk, like, what the hell just happened? We have no idea. So the guy gets frustrated and he looks at Billy because he's like, I know Billy knows something. He's like, Billy, you know there's something out there. What is it? And Billy delivers one of the most chilling lines of the film, because he looks at him and he's like, I'm scared, Poncho. And he's like, bullshit, you ain't scared of no man. And he's like, something's waiting out there for us, and it ain't no man. As he walks away, he's like, we're all gonna die. I'm like, oh my god, these are like the elite, they're like Navy SEALs, you know, they're supposed to keep their cool in situations like this, and they're just like, we're fucked. So now it's nighttime, and one of the tripwires gets set off, so Mac goes in full-on attack. We don't see anything, but we hear the sounds, and we see his knife just stabbing the shit out of something, and when the rest of them show up with flashlight, they're like, you god damn it, you killed a pig. This scene gets made fun of in Tropic Thunder with Ben Stiller, and he kills a panda. If you haven't seen Tropic Thunder, I highly recommend you watch that movie. But then they realize that Blaine's body is gone. The predator literally snatched up the body while they were distracted with the pig. Genius. And they're all still confused because he's like, okay, the boar set off the tripwire, but why are there no other tracks? And this is when Arnold realizes, oh shit, he's using the trees. And he walks up to the girl and then he's like, what the hell did you see? No more f***ing games. And she just starts speaking perfect English. All the other guys are like, what the man? We were trying to speak in broken Spanglish this whole time. You knew English, god damn it. Anyway, she tells him that she found blood of the creature, and Arnold also delivers one of the best lines in this film where he's like, if it bleeds, we can kill it. And he cuts her loose. So now they try the whole trap thing again, but they're gonna go a little bit more old school. So we see them start pulling down trees with ropes, which seems extremely impossible. But I mean, they are extremely jacked too. I mean, look at Arnold. But they end up setting this trap. They're waiting. Nothing really happens. So this motherfucker is shaving again and breaks the goddamn razor. And he just looks over at Carl Weathers like, and Carl Weathers just like, it's just so weird. Arnold decides to go out there to kind of act as bait, and nothing happens. So he's like, all right, whatever. He puts his gun down, and then the trap goes off. This huge net flies up into the air. You hear the animal, but you don't see anything. Anyways, the predator is able to shoot itself out, and this is where Carl Weathers finally sees the predator in its form for the first time in the trees for a split second again. And then Mac goes crazy again and goes after him for revenge. And then Dutch is gonna go after it, but Dylan interrupts. He's like, hey man, I'm gonna go after him. You get the rest of them to the chopper. So he goes after him while the rest of them help this other dude who got pretty fucked up from the trap event. And then we cut back to Mac, who is just once again going insane. Listen to what he says. Long, tall Sally, she's built sweet. She got everything that Uncle John need. I'm gonna have me some fun. I'm gonna have me some fun. I'm gonna have me some fun. Ah, just the way they depict these soldiers slowly losing their minds is so well. This is a cosmic horror movie. I'm done, man. So Dylan finally runs into Mac. They're hiding in the bushes and they think they got this thing because they can see it in the trees. So Dylan tells him, all right, let's flush this thing out. You go there, I go here. They set up a plan. And as they separate, Mac gets shot in the head and Dylan sees his dead body and he's like, oh, now I'm all by myself. And this is so up and creepy. He's looking at his dead friend's body, which is just twitching, and then he hears like a whisper somewhere like anytime, and he's like, what the fuck? Oh my god, that is up. Doesn't just kill him, he wants to psychologically fuck you up before you die. That's so messed up. And then Dylan sees the silhouette of the creature in the trees. It flashes its yellow eyes, and then it's like him pulling up his gun as the laser focuses on his arm, and he gets his arm shot off. Now, the effect of his arm getting shot off is pretty cheesy. However, we gotta give it, Carl Weathers is a bad motherfucker in this movie. I know they all make fun of him because he's the CIA guy amongst the group. He's not like one of them really, but hey, give this man his respect. He's got one arm that's still shooting on the ground, and then he's pulling up his other arm to shoot the thing as he's getting stabbed to death by, like, hey man, that's a warrior's way. He fought to the end, man. He was never running. The rest of them are passing this like bridge made out of a broken fallen tree, and they hear the scream, and this is when Billy completely loses his mind, throws his weapons to the ground. And I gotta say, I truly wish I had Billy's mentality when I face death. When the Grim Reaper comes for me, I want to have that attitude that Billy, take off his shirt, take out a sword, and look at the Grim Reaper with those eyes. Oh my god, it's so badass, and I know I will not be doing that when the Grim Reaper comes. I will be shitting my pants and begging for more time. I saw this movie when I was like 6 or 7, I believe, and this was the scene that got me. There's so many other great scenes, I get it, but I probably should have seen this at that age, and that scene at that age scarred me for, I think about this scene to this day. That's how much it's ingrained in my head. I had just never seen someone so badass in a movie, like confronting death like that, and he's just like, you know what, I'm done running. I'm just gonna face it right on. Oh my god. And then we cut to them running in the forest, and you just hear him screaming, and they turn back and they see nothing down the forest. Oh my god, that is so scary, so creepy, and it just lingers. It doesn't go away. They're just looking like, what the fuck? And then the predator attacks them out of nowhere, kills the injured guy, shoots Arnold. Arnold yells, get to the chopper, to the girl, so she runs away. So now we get Arnold running through the forest, trying to escape whatever the hell is killing everyone, and then he finally slips and falls down this like slide and falls into the river. Am I crazy, or I feel like I saw this scene shot for shot exactly the same in another Arnold movie? Like, I don't know if it's Commando or True Lie. I don't know. I gotta find it. But it looks like they took the shot from this movie and just put it in that movie. I swear. Anyways, Arnold goes with the flow of the river, finally gets out, and he thinks he's safe. And then he hears something drop in the water behind him. And he's like, oh, he's still after me? Shit. But as he's crawling through the ground, it's all muddy and he gets mud all over him. And we see the Predator in its full form, finally, for the first time, not for a split second. And to me, I think this is one of the greatest shots in cinema history. Not just horror, not just sci-fi, not just aliens. This shot of him coming out of the water, it's so immersive. The forest and the smoke and everything is not the best quality. It's not 4K, and it adds to it. It makes it all the more creepy. The shot is so well done, and you see it for the first time, and my God, did it deliver. Because sometimes when you build something up for so long and you don't have something great at the end to deliver, it can feel like a letdown, and it did not in this movie.
It delivered 100%.
Anyways, the Predator just walks away, and Arnold's like, oh my God, it didn't notice me. And he goes like, and he notices it's the mud that blocked the heat vision. Now, the next 30 minutes of this movie is the manliest version of Home Alone you've ever seen. If you like watching Macaulay Culkin set up traps for those robbers, you're gonna love this. It's 7-time Mr. Olympia setting up traps in the forest for an intergalactic space alien. Have I sold you yet? So Arnold is setting up old school traps for the final battle while Predator is looking at the trophies he's collected. And there's one scene that is so scary, the sound that the Predator makes. He like pulls the spine out of one of the soldiers and starts waving it around. Listen to the sound. It's so scary. So we have finally arrived to the final battle. Arnold lights up a torch, screams like hell, like, "Aah!" That's every high school kid when Friday comes around and the last bell rings. They're like, "Ah, party!" So the Predator finally arrives, and he can't see Arnold, which is ironic because the whole movie, it's them that couldn't see them, and he just reversed the roles there, which is pretty cool. So he shoots one of his like bomb arrows and f***s up the Predator, and the Predator just starts going ballistic and shooting everywhere. So he falls down from the trees, and the shot in the night sky where you just see sparks flying and everything is so beautiful. There's another great shot where Arnold is walking and the Predator just jumps right next to him, and the way he just slowly gets up, oh, I love that shot. So Arnold hides by hanging under like a little mini bridge as the Predator walks around. Another great shot in this sequence where Arnold is running away and there's like this bomb exploding, and you see from the flash of the explosion the Predator like and turning around. Oh my God, just so many great epic shots. Arnold's in the water, and this is where we finally get the 1v1. No more spears and guns and all of this. Mano y mano. The Predator literally picks up Arnold and it dwarfs him. Like, oh my God, just manhandling 7-time Mr. Olympia. So in one of the most epic scenes ever, he slowly takes off his mask, which is so cinematic. This is just such a perfect scene. Let's just take a minute and acknowledge how amazing the design of the Predator is. Did you guys know that Jean-Claude Van Damme was supposed to be in the Predator suit? That's just insane to me. I love Jean-Claude Van Damme. He's also been a part of a ton of manly movies like Bloodsport, but Jean-Claude Van Damme doesn't strike me as a very tall individual, and I feel like you want the Predator to have this imposing presence about him, so you want him to be big and tall, like he dwarfs 7-time Mr. Olympia, you know what I'm saying? And I like that. So now they finally fight, and I will admit some of the things don't age that well, like the stock punches, like that's literally how it sounds. But long story short, Arnold gets his ass whooped, and then he's like crawling to the final trap that he has. There's another great line in the middle. He's like, "Come on, do it now, kill me." But Predator is smarter than that and realizes that he's walking into a trap, but there's another one behind him, so he hits him with the log, and Arnold thinks he's killed him, but he's still moving, so he gets a rock to smash his head in. But instead of doing that, he sees, oh, he's completely f***ed up, so he just tosses it aside. He's like, "What the hell are you?"
Tells him back, "What the hell are you?"
But I love the ending of this movie because Predator's a real one. He goes out to the fucking end, bro. No mercy, none. He's not asking for mercy. He's like, "All right, you got me. Fair game. The U.S. elite soldier beat me, 7-time Mr. Olympia, but I'll tell you what, you ain't making it out of here alive. Everyone coming down with me." And he activates this like mini atomic bomb on his wrist, and he starts laughing like he learned Billy laughed in that previous scene. I think that moment is not just so creepy, but just so perfect. What a great payoff. Like the creepy laugh, it's kind of like a trope at this point. You've seen it in Thriller, you've seen it in a bunch of other movies, but this has got to be the best creepy laugh of all time. Come on, give me that one. This Predator gives the best creepy laugh of all time because of the implications. So Arnold just starts running for his life. Somehow he escapes this insane bomb that just went off, but the chopper is there to rescue him. The smoke and dust clear, and then we see Arnold just there looking like, man, we need to go to Taco Bell. And they pick him up. He doesn't talk or anything. He looks like a fucking wreck. And then the classic music comes in, and that is the first movie. This is my favorite movie of all time. I mean, come on, even if it's not your favorite movie of all time, it's just a classic. They don't make movies like this anymore. It literally is a perfect film. Yes, are there some corny lines of dialogue, but it just adds to the 80s nostalgia. Some of those sound effects at the end when they're fighting, I'm like, but like I said, this movie is a masterpiece, just a 12 out of 10 movie. I can't talk about it enough. Which leads us now to Predator 2, which came out in 1990, and it's definitely a significant step down from the first movie, but I still love this movie. I genuinely enjoy this movie. Like, I would put it in my top 3 Predator movies. It never gets boring. I always find enjoyment out of it. And this movie doesn't spend any time building anything up. It drops us right into the action. We're in LA, and immediately we're just put straight into a firefight between drug lords and cops. And these motherfuckers are armed to the fucking teeth. Jesus Christ. Then Danny Glover arrives, which is our main protagonist. He's a cop in LA, and they are fighting these guys, but in the middle of the road there's a cop who's bleeding out, so he goes and gets his car and puts bulletproof vests on the windows to save him. I feel like that's unrealistic. I mean, with the amount of firepower these drug lords have, Jesus Christ, I feel like those bulletproof vests would just fall in, you know what I'm saying? So the drug lords end up going inside this building, and there's even more weapons, and they're all shooting up cocaine. These motherfuckers are crazy, bro. Jesus. Look at this room, it's just filled with so much military grade weapons. Anyways, Danny Glover wants to go inside after them, but his partner tells him, we can't. We got orders from the chief that says we need to surround the building and wait. And Danny Glover's like, wait for what? His partner's like, I don't know, the feds or the DEA? And as the drug lords are reloading and getting high off cocaine, the glass above them just breaks. And then we cut back to Danny Glover, who was like, it, we're going in. And then all of a sudden, one of the drug guys comes out of the room spraying everyone, blasting his gun. So Danny Glover follows him to the roof, but this guy looks insane, bro. Like, he looks like he just saw a ghost, and he sees the outline of the Predator, so he starts shooting, and Danny's forced to kill him. But then Danny hears a noise, and then he quickly turns around, but he doesn't really see anything, but he sees something kind of weird in the distance, and then the Predator disappears, and he's like, I must be going crazy. So then they investigate, and everybody else is dead with these like weird ass wounds, and then there's a body hanging up in the roof, and it's like 30-40 feet up there. He's like, you couldn't even get that guy up there who's 190 pounds up that high. And it is just a bloodbath inside that room, and everyone's just confused as to what the hell happened. Then Danny Glover's chief confronts him like, what the fuck, man, I told you to wait. And he's like, I don't roll over for anybody, especially the feds. Then we see the feds arrive, who's led by none other than Gary motherfucking Busey. I love this opening sequence a lot. I think it does 2 things extremely well. One, it really establishes the status quo of the world that our characters are living in. It is violent. We're in LA. There's gang wars, firefights on the streets. It is a very dangerous place to live. And 2, it's action-packed. We get to see the Predator immediately go against drug lords, and he just murks everyone. So it really establishes like our threat is real and powerful. So we go back now to the police station, and obviously Danny Glover is in trouble, so they talk to the feds, and the feds very condescendingly tells them, you know, let's stay out of each other's way. I think we can do that, right? Danny's like, cooperation is my middle name. And then we finally get introduced to Bill Paxton's character. Dude, Bill Paxton's in this movie. Gosh, rest in peace, the fucking legend. Bro, he's part of the 2 biggest cinematic franchises of monsters ever. Alien and Predator, bro. That's insane to be a part of both. He's apparently Ferris's replacement, and he does these super corny jokes to women, and one of the main girls in the movie immediately just grabs his nuts and tells him to fuck off, pretty much. And dude, this next scene is batshit crazy, and I love it. You just see the city of Los Angeles at night, and then you hear these wild noises in the background, and then you finally see it's this guy, a millionaire, because where he lives is spectacular. They are just going to town. I mean, goddamn. I saw this movie when I was like, I don't know, 9 or 10 or 11. I saw that scene in particular many of times, if you know what I mean. But some like voodoo gang breaks in, puts the guy upside down. They're holding the girl naked right there. Gosh, she has some nice, you know what. But the dude's begging for his life. He's like, I'll pay you. And he's like, this is not about money. This is about power. And as they start killing this dude, the Predator comes out of nowhere and just wreaks havoc. Everybody starts shooting like crazy. I feel like this is the equivalent to the scene in the first movie when they're all shooting in the forest. And in this scene, we get to see a couple new weapons that we haven't seen before from the Predator. I think that's pretty cool because this movie sets up AVP perfectly. We get the net that's like cutting the dude. We also see his spear for the first time in this scene. And I always found it interesting that his weapons are not invisible, yet he's invisible. I guess it's just because like they wanted to show the weapons to us, like, hey guys, this is new shit. So the police shows up to the crime scene and they tell them that, hey, everyone be alert that the feds will take care of the crime scene. And Danny Glover's like, we didn't hear that, let's go up. Danny Glover's unhinged, bro. He doesn't give a fuck about his superiors. Like, goddamn, how does he still have a job? So they enter the room and there's a bunch of bodies hanging upside down, most of them skinned. The guy that he didn't kill still has his skin, which is pretty damn cool. He's like, if I didn't kill it, we gonna leave him alone. Everyone else though is and then they find a survivor, which was the girl, and they ask her what the hell happened, and she's like, the devil came and got him. This is kind of a similar beat to the first movie with the girl when they find her and she's like, the jungle came alive and got him. Kind of the same beat for beat moment. And they also find one of his weapons and they're like, what the fuck is that? And then the feds show up and obviously Gary Busey is super fucking mad. He's like, this is my crime scene, get the fuck out. So as they get out of the building, Danny Glover tells Bill Paxton to go follow them and get information on him. And then he tells his partner, hey, stick around, stay out of sight, and then we're gonna go take a good look at the room. But an important detail is he says, wait for me. No superhero shit, all right, Danny? Then he meets up with Bill Paxton at a bar, and Bill Paxton shows him the video camera of where they took the girl. They rushed her into a helicopter, and this was all led by your boy Gary Busey. So then we cut to Danny, who's breaking into the room, and he did not listen and goes in by himself. Danny specifically said, wait for me, man. So he goes in to investigate, and he specifically wants to take a look at that weird weapon that was stuck in that vent. And he tries to climb up and pull it out, and then this is when the Predator spooks him, and before he falls, he grabs onto like an invisible arm, which freaks him out, and the Predator snatches him up and kills him. We now cut back to Danny Glover once again, who's in trouble, and they just remind him again, like, hey, don't f with the feds, this is it. And he walks out of the room all pissed, and his other guy is like telling him, bro, stay out of this. And he's like, I'm gonna find this guy, all right? I came up with him for 15 years on the streets. I'm gonna get him. And he runs into Gary Busey all pissed off and shoves him into the wall. It's like, I don't give a who you are, because now this shit is personal. Gary Busey looks at him in the eyes like, bro, you have no idea what you're dealing with. And then Danny Glover's like, you don't know what you're dealing with. Stay the out of my way, bro. I love Danny Glover. He's always fucking mad. He has one mood and it's anger. So his other two cop friends come up and they're like, we gotta do this as a team. We gotta find this killer who killed our guy. And he's like, all right, bet we'll do it together. So they go to this scientist lady to investigate the weapon that they found. And she's like, this is so weird because none of this corresponds to anything on the periodic table. It's like some unknown piece of metal. So as they walk out, Danny Glover goes into this car with the Jamaican gang members. And Bill Paxton's like, should I follow you? Like, what the fuck are you doing? He's like, hey, man, I will call you later. And we see this cool shot. Obviously, it's green screen, but we see Predator up in the buildings looking over everyone. And this is something that I really liked about this movie. If you're an Ultimate Predator fan, you wanted to see the Predator in the city, in the concrete jungle. We did the jungle. Now let's see him in the concrete jungle, which is another video game that I really want to play because I heard really good things about it. Comment below if you played it. Now, this next scene is super creepy and awesome. He goes to this like voodoo guy and he's like, I want some information, man. This thing killed your people, killed mine. And he's like, this thing's from the other side. It's like, what are you talking about, man? And he throws down some bones. He's like, there's no stopping it. You can't see the eyes of the demon. He's like, man, make this shit make sense. But he keeps talking all cryptid and everything. He's like, there's nothing else for you here, policeman. Time to go. So Danny leaves. He rolls his bones again, and then you see the water splashing, and it's the Predator's invisible footsteps walking towards him. And he pulls out his sword, and in the reflection of the water you can see the Predator, but not him in real life. To me, that is such a badass shot. Now, the only negative of this scene is we don't get a fight, we don't get a cool death scene on screen. Everything is off screen because you just see him walking with his head away. So there's something left to be desired there, but aside from that, the footsteps on the water and everything, oh my god, against the voodoo guy in the alleyway at night, it's so badass in my opinion. Seeing the Predator in the reflection, but you can't see him actually in like the real scenario. I love that scene. Now we go to this graveyard and we see this little kid playing with a toy gun, and Predator sees him with the heat vision and he's like, oh my god, he has a gun, but he realizes this ain't no real gun, and he approaches the little kid, and the little kid's like, Want some candy? And that's one of the lines that he records because he uses it again throughout this movie, which is a pretty creepy line in a different way as the lines in the first movie, but it still works. So we see Danny paying respects to his old buddy cop friend, and as he's walking away, he sees Billy's necklace hanging from a tree and he freaks out. Now I gotta talk about this scene because this is one of the cheesiest parts of the movie. Danny pulls out his gun and you hear these sound effects and camera changes like that ages horribly. Now we cut to Bill Paxton and the girl cop who are on a subway, which is another f***ing fantastic scene. I love this part. Shit gets all hectic in the subway and then everyone starts pulling out their guns, so the cops pull out their guns and everyone's like, everybody calm down. And then they hear this noise on top and you see the Predator climbing on top of the subway, but it's like this flashing light, like dark light, and it's actually a really cool effect. The light in the subway goes out, everyone just starts shooting, the Predator is inside just f***ing everyone up. But like I said, it's like this strobe light effect, so you don't see a lot, you just see like glimpses of it, and it totally works for me. I can see some people not enjoying it, but the chaotic nature of this scene is so effective for me. Bill Paxton tries to be a hero, he shoots it, he throws a golf ball at it, he swings a machete at it, and right before the Predator kills him, he's like, want some candy? And then the subway finally comes to a stop. The girl cop's getting everyone out, rushing them out, and then she goes back to check on Bill, and when she looks inside, he's already hanging upside down, dead, bloodied, like all the other ones. And then she turns around, the Predator is right in there, it holds her by the neck, but then he looks that she's pregnant. And then we just cut to her getting saved by the ambulance, and then we realize like, oh, once again, like in the first movie, he didn't kill the girl because she wasn't armed. In this movie, he doesn't kill the girl because she's pregnant, so he really wants like a match to kill. Then Danny Glover goes to the subway to check where Jerry is, and no one knows where his body is. So Danny goes further into the subway, and I love this shot. This is a very intimate, creepy moment. He's by himself looking down the subway, and he catches a glimpse of the Predator pulling out the spine of Jerry. I was like, god damn. So then Danny Glover goes chasing after him. He gets in a car and he follows him down, and then we get this badass shot of Predator climbing with the skull on his back up a building, and there's lightning in the background. Just a chef's kiss on that one. Then Danny Glover gets hit by another car, and it's the feds who got him now. And then we cut back to the Predator on top of a building just holding that skull up, and then lightning hits him like he's a goddamn superhero recharging his powers. That was a very strange scene to me. That makes no sense. The Predator doesn't have superpowers. Why is he able to like get lightning to hit him and he doesn't die, and he's just like, yeah, like he's having an orgasm. But anyways, we cut back to Gary Busey in this like red light room, which really sets a vibe. I really like it, and he shows him what they're dealing with. They've been tracking this thing for years, they've been studying it. He also makes a reference to the previous movie that this thing took out a whole army unit and that there were only 2 survivors. The creature activated a self-destructive that destroyed enough rainforest to cover 300 city blocks, which only proves my point, like how the f did Arnold make it out of that movie? And I absolutely love how Gary Busey delivers this next line when he's like, a fucking alien.
A fucking alien.
Like, god damn it, Moore, what do you want me to say? It's a fucking alien. And we finally understand they want to capture him because of the technology that they can offer them. And this next part is visually stunning. I love this next scene. They go in after him, and obviously Danny Glover has to stay behind because he's not part of the team. So they go in with these like body heat suits that I guess masks their body heat so the Predator is not able to see them. But this is a really cool part because the Predator also has multiple visions, not just heat vision. So you see him like switching through all the visions that he has, and he finally catches one where he sees the flashlights, and then he's like, oh, I know I'm not alone. And then back in the red light truck, the guy notices, oh shit, like he's moving backwards, and Danny's like, oh my god, he knows you're there, get your men out of there. And they don't listen to him, so he just punches these 2 guys and goes into the action. And then the Predator just goes to work and starts killing all these motherfuckers with his spear. And I'm telling you, bro, this scene is such a vibe. It's like a dark blue lit room, and then the water starts falling. And come on, not for nothing, the Predator looks badass in this scene. Look at him, he looks so fucking cool. Comment down below, who's the better Predator design, Predator 1 or Predator 2? I'd still probably go with number 1, but this one's pretty badass. Then Danny Glover blows his way in and catches the Predator's attention, but the Predator still shoots at Gary Busey and finishes him off before he fights Danny's character. And there's a pretty cool scene where you see the Predator jumping as it explodes in the background. I gotta mention Gary Busey's face when he dies, like, ah! So Danny starts shooting at him. He finally gets close enough where he can shoot him with the shotgun, and you think he's dead at this point. And I don't know how I feel about this scene because I don't think Predators are immune to bullets. I mean, I'm sure they can take 1 or 2, but goddamn, you blast that guy with the shotgun so many times. But hey, it is what it is, and the Predator is still alive. And dude, they're inside this like meat packing plant, and it just reminds me of the scene in Rocky where he's like punching the meat thing. This is the horror version of that scene. Then Danny Glover takes off his mask and starts reciting the famous line, "You are one ugly mother," and then the Predator grabs him and is like, "Motherfucker." Throws him down, breaks his gun. Now I gotta say, his face design is pretty badass. I might give the face design to the second movie and the mask to the first movie, because it looks badass here. But Gary Busey comes out of nowhere. Apparently he's not dead. He starts fighting the Predator, and he tells Danny Glover to get out of here. And then this is when we get introduced to another of Predator's signature weapons that is super cool. The flying disc, cut through all the meat and then finally kill Gary Busey and come right back to his hand like a boomerang. In AVP, I feel like they switched up the design of the weapon, which we'll get to that. I think it's cooler in AVP, but it's still badass here. So Danny is now on the run, and then they're on the rooftop, and then Danny sees the Predator on the edge of the building, so he tries to like tackle him off, which is a crazy idea. And then we get this scene where they're both hanging off the building. The Predator is using his disc to kind of still be hanging on for his life. And then Danny Glover hits him with one of the best lines. He's like, "Okay, pussy face," because their mouth does look like a goddamn vagina. Then Predator starts to activate his bomb, but then Danny Glover takes the flying disc and cuts off his hand. Then Predator goes flying down and miraculously hangs on some like metal pipe. And the next 20 minutes of this film are my absolute favorite, because it gets just crazy town, but I love it. Predator's in some random house, and obviously they gotta include the self-surgery scene like the first scene, but I like it better in this movie, bro. It's so cool. It's like he's building a potion like a f***ing witch. It's f***ing wild. Danny Glover's crazy ass goes after him by climbing down the pipe as the Predator is fixing his wound. And this is when shit gets crazy, because we see this old grandma hearing noises in her apartment bathroom. She's like, "What the f*** is happening?" So we see the grandma get a broom, and then the Predator just breaks through their apartment. It's f***ing crazy. And then Danny Glover comes out of nowhere, and he's like, "I'm a cop, don't worry." She's like, "I don't think he gives a shit." So he tries to follow the Predator, and he sees that he went down this like elevator shaft. So he holds onto the wire, and then the elevator starts moving down like it's gonna crush him. So he lets go of the wire, and he falls into this like hole, holding on for his life, which is like the most unrealistic scene ever. How did he fall exactly down right there on the hole? And so he lets go and he falls into the Predator ship. I mean, we are in crazy town now, because apparently under this building is a Predator fucking spaceship. Now this is, in my opinion, the greatest Easter egg in any movie. Danny Glover's walking around the ship, and then he sees all these trophies on this wall, which are the skulls of all the animals these Predators have killed. You see a f***ing T-Rex head, and then obviously the greatest Easter egg of all time, the Xenomorph head. Like, they just planted it there like, bro, we're gonna do a versus movie, and you're like, oh my god, this is insane. But then Danny gets caught in one of those nets that like cut you up, but he uses the flying disc to cut himself out of it, and then they have this like mano-a-mano fight at the end. It's a pretty cool fight scene. It's nowhere near as cool as the epic fight scene between Arnold in the first one, but before he can deliver the final blow, he shoves the flying disc right in its stomach, killing the Predator, and then a bunch of Predators come out of the invisibility, and Danny Glover's like, fuck. Alright, who's next? Anyways, they all just start disappearing and walking away, except for one of them, who tosses him a pistol from 1715, kind of showing us, the audience, these guys have been here before many of times. And that also becomes a cool Easter egg that gets mentioned a lot of times in the next following movies. The ship starts and Danny Glover runs out, and then he's alive walking out of the debris all f***ed up. And then one of the Fed guys is like, "What the hell happened here?" But you can tell Danny's like just so out of it that he can't even talk. So he just runs away, and then Danny Glover says, "Don't worry, asshole, you'll get another chance." And that's the movie, my friends. Predator 2 is a goddamn fun watch. I don't care what anybody says. It's definitely not a classic, but if you're into these movies, you gotta watch it. I mean, come on. It's a good time. You know what's wild? Every January we tell ourselves we're gonna become a completely different person. New year, new me, total reset, and then February hits, and then most of that just fades. One thing that's actually helped me this year wasn't reinventing myself. It was sticking to one habit that kept me grounded while working on big projects like this video. Just slowing down enough to understand why I work the way I do, why I burn out, and why I get stuck in certain patterns. That's also how therapy works. It's not a quick fix, it's not some dramatic overnight transformation. It's a steady habit, a space to actually understand yourself, work through patterns, and build something something sustainable instead of constantly starting over. This portion of the video is sponsored by BetterHelp, and I genuinely like them as a starting point for therapy in 2026 because they make that first step way less intimidating. BetterHelp lets you fill out a short questionnaire and get matched with a licensed therapist in as little as a couple of days. They match you based on your preferences, their clinical experience, and over a decade of matching expertise. And if it doesn't feel like the right fit, you can just switch therapists anytime at no extra cost. Over 6 million people have already used BetterHelp, and it's one of the easiest ways to make therapy a consistent part of your life instead of something that you keep putting off. If you've been thinking about it, now's a good time to start. Click the link in the description below to get 10% off your first month of therapy, and as always, thank you BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. And now we move on to Alien vs Predator AVP, which came out in 2004. Now, let me get ready because I need to come to the defense of this movie. It pisses me off that so many people hate this movie. What the fuck? Whenever I watch ranking videos, usually people put this movie near the bottom, and that is a goddamn travesty. This movie fucking rocks. Now granted, I watched this movie when I was a really small boy, and I was obsessed with it, okay? I would watch all these stop motion videos on YouTube because I couldn't get enough AVP content. Like literally people with action figures making full-length movies on YouTube. So obviously I'm not watching it with a critical mind. I was like 8 or 9 years old, so it was just watching two of my favorite monsters come together and fight. I was like, what more could you want? But even rewatching this movie as an adult, it's still one of my favorite Predator movies, bro. I love the lore, the world building, the story is not bad. For a versus movie, brother, compared to the other versus movies, this stacks up pretty f***ing well. The only other versus movies that I have seen would be Batman vs Superman, another movie that people unfairly hate because I really enjoy that movie. I've also seen Kong vs Godzilla. Terrible film. This movie definitely better than that. And I have not seen Freddy vs Jason. So comment down below if that's a movie commentary you would like to see on my Patreon, because I've never seen it. I would love to see it. It's a classic as well. But in terms of the versus movies that I've seen, this one probably is the #1. Now, if you watch the original movie, you won't get this intro scene. This is in the unrated version. But in the unrated version, there's an opening featuring a whaling station scene, and it's just a guy running for his life, and then you see the invisible predator and the alien pops out. Nothing too much. You're not missing a lot if you haven't seen it. Now, the opening title card, I think, is awesome. It just looks so sci-fi cool. They like slowly reveal the letters, kind of like an Alien, but there's also smoke in the background. I don't know why I'm talking about this, but it's a cool title card. Now you think you see the Queen Alien head, but it turns into a spaceship, or excuse me, it's a satellite for the Weyland Corporation, and it picks up on a heat signature in Antarctica. And then we cut to our main protagonist, who is ice climbing, and I love this opening shot for her because one, it's badass. I mean, she's climbing in the ice, but two, it immediately shows us she's an adventurous person. She's highly competent with a lot of skills for like outdoor stuff, and she gets a phone call by one of Weyland's agents and pretty much bribes her that like, hey, if you come meet with Mr. Weyland, he'll fund your foundation that you're associated with for like a whole year. And she's like, okay. And she's like, when does he want to meet? Tomorrow? And then as she gets up, his agent is right there, and he's like, we don't have a week, we need to meet up now. We cut to Mexico, and we get another one of our characters who's like an archaeologist, I guess, and he finds a bottle cap, which obviously means like he didn't find anything. And the guy who's funding him threatens to take the funding away, and the guy's like, okay, I'm gonna go to the bank and get us more money. And then the agent comes out of nowhere again, like, you won't need to do that, Mr. Weyland will give you the money. It'd be great to be a billionaire where you can just pay people left and right to do whatever the hell you want. I mean, that's an superpower. Now we cut to a helicopter flying over ice. We get introduced to one of the dorky characters of the movie, but I really like this character because they make you feel for him, and then when he dies, it's actually like an emotional moment. You're like, oh no, not him. He's got 2 little kids. He's super nice. He's just there to be a part of the team. Then they finally get to the ship that's going towards Antarctica, and then we get this presentation scene with Mr. Weyland, who tells them, you know, the heat signature that they found, and that it could be a pyramid under the ice, and he brought everyone here with a specific skill set in order to help make this discovery. It is kind of strange that they put Bishop from Aliens, I'm pretty sure this guy's Bishop from Aliens, as Mr. Weyland in this movie. It's like, what the heck? But I do like that Mr. Weyland is in this movie, and she was brought on this mission to help everyone with this expedition since she has the expertise. And she's like, I'm gonna need 3 weeks to train everyone here to be prepared. And he's like, whoa, we don't have that kind of time, we're going now. And she's like, that's one of the most isolated places in the world. It's like, if we run into trouble, we have no help. So essentially she's like, you know what, I'm out, find someone else. So she's packing her stuff to get the hell out, and she asks, who did you guys get as a replacement? And he's like, Gerald Murdoch. So she gets mad and confronts Mr. Whalen like, bro, this guy has 2 seasons on the ice. He ain't ready. And she's like, well, you didn't want to do it, so we got someone who's willing to do it. So what do you want to do? And then we get a beautiful shot of the ship in the night sky with like the Aurora Borealis lights, whatever the those are called. It's pretty. And the dorky guy who's really nice and has the kids kind of convinces her to stay because he's like, we're gonna be here and we want you to lead us. But then on a serious note, the other character's like, will you tell me something? Do we have a better chance surviving with you or the number 2 choice? And then we see the Predator spaceship flying in space towards Earth, and you see their masks and then like these lasers that are like pointing out the pyramid, and then you see this blue beam just shoot out. And now we're back with the crew, and she decided to stay. She's like, my job is to keep you guys alive, and since I don't have the time to train you, I'm gonna lay out 3 simple rules. She's like, number 1, no one goes anywhere alone ever. Number 2, everyone must maintain constant communication. And finally, number 3, she's like, unexpected shit is gonna happen. When it does, don't try to be a hero. Some of the people are carrying guns with them on this expedition, which I find very strange. They're in the middle of nowhere. Why are these people armed to the teeth as if they're going to battle? Were they expecting to run into aliens and predators? Like, why would you go on an expedition with automatic weapons and pistols and everyone's armed? Like, what the is happening? That doesn't really make a lot of sense. They finally arrive at the town. They shoot a flare and they see the whaling station town. So they move all the gear down there and they get ready to drill this hole down the ice. Now the dorky guy goes off on his own, breaking rule number 1. We get a little fake jump scare from a cute penguin. Look at that penguin. But then the other guy finds a hole that's already been drilled down there. They're like, who the someone's already here? And that's what that blue beam from the Predator spaceship was. They just drilled that hole in there. Mr. Williams looking at his computer like, it's there, and then if we look back the day before, it wasn't there, which is really strange because no amount of technology can drill that hole in that amount of time. And you can even see the same drilling pattern on one of the buildings in the back, so it's like the shit came from the sky. And we see the Predator spaceship flying by and the Predator suit up, which is super badass. The little wrist blades like extend even longer. I gotta say, the weapons in this movie are peak. No other movie has better weapons than Alien vs. Predator 1. Then she notices that the guy has like a lung problem, and he's like, I can't let you go down there, that's too dangerous, we'll keep you updated. And he's like, listen. He gives her like a little backstory. He's like, you know, when you get sick, you think about your life and how you're gonna be remembered. And then she tells a story like, when I was going up the summit of Mount Rainier with my dad, he broke his leg 700 feet from the summit. And then she's like, but like you, he didn't stop, he kept going. And obviously he passed away, but he opened his bottle of champagne at the top of the mountain. And she's like, I had my first drink with my dad 14,000 feet up into the air. And not for nothing, there's some good emotional beats in this movie. This is one of them. He like really gets serious, and he's like, and what do you think was the last thing that he remembered? The pain? Or drinking champagne with his daughter 14,000 feet in the air? And they just kind of stare and like absorb that moment, and then we move on. I like that moment. Guys, this is a good movie. Anyways, they're starting to go down. One of the wires has a problem, so he falls and he's sliding down the whole thing, and then she miraculously just hits with her like ice pick or whatever it is, times it perfectly so that like it doesn't hit his head and only catches like the hood. Superwoman. And we get this great shot of the Predator ship just flying above in silence, and the guy looks up and he completely misses it. What a great shot. And the spaceship shoots out like 3 mini spaceships, and they all land in the ice. They open up, which are the Predators. And then when they finally get down there, he's like, no equipment, no signs of another team. Like, this is very bizarre. But when they turn on the lights, they see the silhouette of the pyramid, and it is awesome. And when they go inside the pyramid, they see all these markings of like these monsters fighting each other. But one of the dudes steps on one of the things which like activates the pyramid, and we see the alien queen getting pulled out of some like dungeon with chains, and it is just a magnificent shot. We gotta talk about this. The alien queen, which is like the biggest monster in both of those franchises, only appears in 3 movies. Aliens, which is obviously the best appearance because that movie's amazing. No one's gonna argue that. But 2 would be Alien vs. Predator and Alien Resurrection. And come on, I'll take the queen from Alien vs. Predator all day over Alien Resurrection. Come on. This scene with like the electricity and the lightning, and it starts to move its frozen head, is sick as fuck, dude. A spectacular shot. Oh, the alien queen's badass in this movie. And then one of the guys starts reading the markings, but he's not the expert. He's the expert's friend. He's like, you may choose to enter. And the dude's like, nice try, but what it actually says, only the chosen can enter. And they're like, whoa. And then all the people outside with guns, once again, I don't know why they have guns, but they all get killed quite easily by the predators. One of the kills is pretty cool because the guy gets speared and the spear starts to turn not invisible. It's a badass shot. And you see the predators coming out of the invisibility, which is a badass shot. And then we cut to the humans who found the sacrificial chamber where there's a bunch of bodies with the corpse of the face huggers on them. And the expert guy realizes like they weren't tied down. They like did this willingly. It was like a huge honor for them back then. And then we see the queen laying eggs and she's like in a lot of pain because she's giving birth. And it's a nasty scene. I mean, you see the slime and it's popping out a bunch of them. And then the rest of the team goes down even further to another level. And Mr. Whalen starts coughing. So she's like, we got to go back. And he's like, we're going to take these. The other dude's like, no, don't touch them. And when they pick it off, it like activates something and the predators realize like they took our weapons and now they're f***ing mad. So they start running and the pyramid around them just starts to close. And the people that were left in the other room now have the alien eggs pop up. And you know what happens next? The face huggers attack all of them. There's a pretty cool slow-mo shot in there. Now all the alpha dudes start to load up on their guns and get ready for some action. Now the girl that's in the sacrificial chamber wakes up and obviously she's gonna have the chest burster pop out soon. For some reason, my mom would not allow me to watch this scene in this movie. That's it. Like, this movie is not that bloody, but for some divine reason, this was the scene that was crossing the line, not the other parts. I mean, I don't know. It's not that bad. Now the predators show up. They don't find their guns, so now they're gonna hunt down the humans. It's still so strange to me why they have so many weapons. Like, what did they think they were going to encounter on this trip? One of the predators just takes a guy with the invisible noose. Then they finally see the predator. It spears one of them. And this shot right here, when he is turning invisible mid-air as he's like jumping, oh my god, what a great shot. Now the expert guy notices that the pyramid shifts every 10 minutes, so they can use that to their advantage. Wait 10 minutes and it's gonna shift and then we can move. And since they're all separated, some of them get attacked by xenomorphs. And the shot of the xenomorph in this scene in the pure black and you see its slimy face, like, oh, these close-up shots are great. A lot of this movie is gonna be me just repeating myself.
This shot is great. This shot is great. This shot is great.
But they get the dorky dude. Now Mr. Whalen is really not doing good. He drops the cannon and our main protagonist is like, leave it. And he's like, too much has been lost. We need to take this. So he puts it in her bag. And the other dude with the gun gets hit with the net that like cuts you. They try to cut it up, but they can't. Like, thank God the predator comes and kills him with the spear instantly, because that'll be such a terrible death to just be like, oh, cut up by these wires as it's like compressing you. Jesus. Now the girl tries to pick up an ice pick, but the invisible predator just kicks her. And right before he kills her, you can see the alien tail right behind him through his invisibility, and it cuts him up and brings him face to face with the xenomorph. We are in Alien versus Predator now, baby. And I must sound like a broken record because this shot is also amazing. Oh my god, face to face. Now I will say his tail is like unimaginably super long to do this stunt, but I'm gonna let it slide because it's a cool shot. And now we get my favorite predator fighting the xenomorph, and I gotta say the mask design of this predator in particular is my favorite, even over the original. This shit is badass. I've actually been wanting for a long time to actually buy that mask and put it in my collection, but it's a little expensive, so one day. The fight is spectacular. It goes on super long. It's not one of these quick things and then it's over and you're like, that was it? No, this, like, he literally picks up the xenomorph by the tail and just like swings him around through all the concrete walls, which is insane. He literally just runs into it in one part of the fight. It's so cool. Anyways, at some point he loses where the xenomorph is. It jumps on him, but he catches it with that net. But remember, xenomorph's blood is super like acid, so it like melts through everything. So it melts through the net and he breaks out and kills the predator. One of the complaints that I've had with this film is that there's 3 predators and right off the bat one xenomorph kills 2 of them, which I'm like, that's ridiculous. But I have since retracted that opinion because 1, they don't have their plasma cannon, so obviously they're a lot weaker, and also they're younger predators, so they have to like prove themselves. They're not as experienced as probably the one in the first movie. But the second reason, in Predator 2 you see the xenomorph skull in the Predator spaceship, which just shows us like they've killed these things before, so that kind of ruins the mystery already of like, oh, which one is stronger? Is it Predator or Alien? Because in the second Predator movie we already know, oh, they already killed the xenomorph, so they're definitely stronger. So in order to like make the xenomorph powerful again in this movie, they're like, all right off the bat we're gonna have to show the xenomorphs are badass by killing 2 of the 3 right off the bat. So I'm okay with that. Anyways, they run into the last predator and he like grabs Mr. Whalen by the neck and he sees that he has like a sickness in the lungs, so he's like, oh, that's not a good match him. But as he's walking away he flames him, which is the dumbest idea ever. Why would you do that? He just let you go. So he just kills him. The pyramid starts to shift again and he tries to crawl through this thing that's about to squish him. Oh my god, I would have not done that. I don't know. I can't. Ugh. Predator throws one of his like boomerang things and it like doesn't catch him and sticks on the wall. I already mentioned this in the Predator 2 part of this video, but I do like the design of this boomerang a little bit more than just the simple disc. It does look a little bit more badass. He kills a face hugger that tries to get him, but he had his mask on, so I don't think it would have worked anyways. And then he kills another xenomorph that's like right behind him. So, you know, the power levels are all over the place in this movie. But they see through a hole very conveniently, him taking off his mask and using one of the legs of the face huggers to mark his mask and his face. But then there's another face hugger and this one does get to his face, which is obviously them setting up for AVP Requiem, the second one. But the expert guy starts reading the markings on the wall, and this is where we get the lore of Alien vs. Predator. And I don't give a f what anybody says, I love it. He starts realizing like, oh, these predators can't just start off with the gun, they have to earn them. He's like, thousands of years ago, these hunters found a backwater planet. He's like, they taught humans how to build and were worshipped as God. Every 100 years, the gods would return, and when they did, they required a sacrifice. So these like tribal people would sacrifice themselves by willingly take the face hugger, and then they would birth obviously a bunch of xenomorphs so that the predator can fight these creatures. But one time they got overrun, and Jesus Christ, look how many xenomorphs there are. They had to nuke that place because my goodness. So if they lose, they made sure nothing survived. This is a fantastic setup for AVP. It makes so much sense. There's a ton of theories that aliens helped build pyramids and stuff because it's like kind of crazy that, you know, the Egyptians were able to make those huge pyramids all by themselves without the technology we have nowadays. Whether that's true or not, I mean, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole right now. But it's kind of cool they went in that direction because like, okay, the gods come, teach them how to build. Obviously, there's been many cultures where they sacrifice humans. Like I think the Mayans would willingly sacrifice themselves and it was like an honor. So like that also makes sense. And obviously since the predators only like to fight with things that are like a good match for them, what's a better match than the perfect specimen, the xenomorph? I don't know. That whole thing just works for me so well. I thought it was a genius way to put these two together. If you disagree with me, comment down below your thoughts or fight me. And then she realized like, okay, this pyramid is like a prison and the guards don't have their guns. So the prisoners are running loose. We got to give the guards back their guns, which is a wild take. But she does say a pretty cool line like, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. That's the first time I've ever heard that line is in this movie. And I always give this movie credit for that line, even though it's been said, I'm sure 100 times before that. The pyramid shifts again and they run into a xenomorph and they try to run through this broken bridge. So they jump. He makes it, but she like is hanging on. But then another xenomorph comes behind him and drags him away. So now she's all by herself and then she runs into the predator. But before he can kill her, she's like, wait. And she slowly gives him his gun. Then a xenomorph attacks him before he can put the gun on and she kills it with the spear. And then out of nowhere a ton of xenomorphs come, but since he has his plasma cannon he can now really kill them easily. But the queen somehow calls over all the baby xenomorphs and the girl's like, hey, I'm coming with you, like as if it understands English. So he prepares her a shield and a spear using the xenomorph's head and tail. Now the xenomorphs all show up to the queen and it's like she's ordering them to like let her loose. So essentially what they do is they like use their little tongues to hit her so that she bleeds out and the acid like breaks the chains off. Now they finally go to the room where all the people are like being held host for the face huggers. She finds Sebastian and tries to help him. Obviously the predator's like, I know I gotta kill this bitch because he's got an alien inside. So she takes the gun and shoots him, but she doesn't kill the chest burster, so it pops out and the predator just snaps its neck. And before they leave, the predator drops his atomic bomb in there so he can get rid of all of them. And as they're running out, another xenomorph attacks him, takes off his plasma cannon. It's like all that work just to use it like 1 or 2 times. But she takes this weird gun, I think it's a nail gun, I don't know what the fuck that is, and blows its head off. And we see the pyramid explode as they're on this thing that's like bringing them back up. And now they think that they're in the clear, like, okay, we got out, we killed all of them, cool. So he takes off his mask, reveals his face to her, and then he marks her as a warrior as well. But surprise, surprise, the queen is the final boss! And this is an epic final battle. In all these movies, this is one of the best battles. The Yautja versus the xenomorph queen? Yes, please. So he starts using his boomerang, but then the tail just whacks him, so now she's on her own, but she stabs her in the neck with the spear and it falls in the burning house, so now it's chasing her, and she's able to like hide under this like big thing. And there's a really cool shot of the predator jumping, and in midair it like hits it with the spear in the head. I was like, that is fucking cool. And they're able to take this chain, which is like on the xenomorph queen, and tie it to this like falling big jug of water. But as they're doing that, the alien queen is able to kill the predator, but she's able to tip over the big jug of water, which forces the alien queen to drown in the icy water. What a cool way to defeat that alien. But obviously the predator is so wounded that it's pretty much dead. But out of nowhere, the predator spaceship just appears out of the invisibility with a ton of predators. It's like they were almost just watching the show. They're just like sitting there. And the king predator, who by the way has a really cool face design, sees the markings on her face. So they pick up the predator, take him into the ship, and he gives her his spear. Then he turns away, walks away, and they just fly off. She's like in the middle of nowhere. Didn't they kill everybody, or are there people still on the ship? I'm not sure, but goddamn, it's like, all right, peace out. And she's like, what the fuck? I'm gonna freeze out here. But right before the movie ends, we do get a cool little fan moment where you see the dead predator laying down and the chest burster bursts out of him, but it's an alien with like the, I don't know what they're called, like the mandibles that the predators have. What a great way to end the film. Now, obviously what that turns into is terrible, and we're gonna get into AVP Requiem, but for this movie, such a cool moment, such a great film. Come on, guys. How do you hate this movie? This is a fun ass roller coaster. The weapons are peak in this film. My favorite mask of all time in this film. The last scene of the movie, super cool fanboy moment. The action is awesome. The lore building, amazing. I mean, what is it about this movie that people don't like? I genuinely don't understand. Please comment below because I want to know. Because in my opinion, this movie rocks and would probably be in my top 3 Predator movies. So how about that? Which brings us now to AVP Requiem, which came out back in 2007, and it is a terrible film. I must admit, this movie is god awful. However, I disagree with all of you that put it as the worst Predator film, because that title goes to The Predator. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. The Predator is the worst Predator film. I will die on that hill. As a matter of fact, I will fight anyone that disagrees with me. So we pick up where we left off from the last movie, where we see the Predator chestburster come out of the Predator. It fucks up everyone in the ship, and the ship crash lands on Earth, and this father and son who are hunting in the woods see the crash and decide to go check it out. The dad freaks out, so he's like, yo, let's get the fuck out. And in the meantime, you see all the face huggers in the Predator ship escape out of their like containers, if you will, and they get both the father and the son. And then we cut to the Predator in his own planet, which is the first time ever in the Predator franchise that we see them on the, granted we don't see a lot, but it is kind of cool. And he receives a message that the ship crash landed on Earth, so then he's like gearing up to go after it. Like, come on, his face design in that shot, not bad at all. I love his mask as well. Now we cut to the sheriff, who's there to pick someone up. And during the car ride, we understand they know each other, they have some history. Pretty much the dude went to jail for something, because he's like, do you regret what you did? And the other guy's like, nah, do you think I would? And the other guy's like, I don't know, 3 years is a long time. So he's like, he probably went to jail for 3 years. Then we cut to a guy who's working at a pizza place, and he has to make this pizza delivery, and he's like, I'm not doing that delivery. And his boss is like, you better make that delivery or you're fired. So he goes reluctantly. The guy is about to make his delivery, and he sees the super hot girl, which I guess he has a crush on. And I mean, the house is fucking gorgeous. I don't know if it's her boyfriend's house or her dad's house, but goddamn, that house is nice. Now, this blonde girl in this movie is one of the reasons why I still like this movie a tad bit, because she is so fucking hot. I saw this movie with my mom in theaters, so that also adds to it. I have like a little fond memory of it. But this girl also was like the hottest girl to me, and we'll get to a scene later on in the movie as to why. So he comes inside, and her boyfriend's being a fucking asshole, and they have a conversation to the side where she's like, I'm thinking about like breaking up with him. And as he's walking back to his car, they just jump him, all of them, and he throws his keys into the I mean, what? This is not a realistic asshole. What the f? No one would do this. Because he made her laugh. That's, I think, the context of it. You assault a pizza delivery driver and throw his keys in the I mean, what? We cut back to the father and son who were hunting, and obviously the chest burster is coming out of him. And it comes out of a kid too. It's like, damn, they really taking it there. We cut to another character who's coming out of a taxi, and she's like some military person coming back to her family, so they're all happy to see her. And her daughter sees these like night vision goggles, and she's like, I'll show you how to use it later, which is a setup for something later in the film. And then we cut back to the pizza guy who runs into his brother apparently, and he's like, when'd you get back? He's like, not too long ago. What the f happened to your face? And he's like, I'll talk about it later. He's like, God damn it, what the f happened? He's like, I got jumped, all right? I got jumped. And the dude grabs the bat as if he's gonna get revenge. He's like, stop, give me the f***ing bat. He's like, I'll go help you find your keys. I feel like this dialogue is horrendous. Anyways, we cut back to the homeless guy with his dog Butch in the sewers with a bunch of other homeless people, and the dog starts barking. One of them gets attacked by a face hugger, another one gets attacked by a face hugger, and then you see a xenomorph pop out. Then a lady comes back and she sees the xenomorph, but then the predator xenomorph comes and pushes the xenomorph aside like, hey bitch, that's for me, and just kills her. Now, a common complaint about this movie is that it's super dark, like you can't see shit. And rewatching this movie for this video, god damn it, they are right. Oh my god, I did not remember that, but this movie could have been way better if they just had better lighting. Now, it's not as bad as everyone says. It's not like you're watching a black screen. You can definitely see shit. I think people over exaggerate on that point, but it definitely could have been lit better. And then we get like an homage to the original film where you get the exact same shot of the predator breaking off the ship and like breaking into Earth's atmosphere, and he lands in some lake. I used to play the AVP Requiem game on the PSP, the portable PlayStation, and I love that game. So look, man, I'm not trying to defend this movie like I would defended AVP, but I will defend it as it's a step above the Predator. That hill I will die on. Look at this shot of him coming out of the water. Pretty good. He goes to the spaceship, he sees his fallen comrades, you have a little moment where you see emotion out of the Predator, which I think is the first time you see that. He takes off his mask, puts it on, he replays the whole events that happened, he's like, fuck. But you can tell this Predator has a lot of experience because one of his like mandibles is like missing, so he's like, oh, he's been through battle before. This ain't like the Predators in AVP that were young and had to prove themselves. This motherfucker's proven. So he takes some of the weapons from the ship and then he activates his like self-destruct bomb to like destroy everything that's left in that ship. Once again, like in the first movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, like I don't understand how he survived the bomb. The Predator's like right outside the ship when this thing blows up. Isn't this like a mini nuke? Then we cut back to the two brothers who are going into the sewer to find the keys. And while they're exploring, we catch a quick glimpse of the chest burster, and then the other brother finds like some shedding. Then we cut back to the sheriff who are looking for the father and son that went missing in the woods. The mom's like, where the f are they? I haven't heard from them. And then like civilians are like, we're gonna do the search whether you like it or not. It's like, oh yeah? Or I can arrest you if you like it or not, bitch. Anyways, they all go on this search, and then we see the Predator who finds the father and son, and then he actually like decomposes of them because he can't have any of those face huggers around. And there's still a cop out there, and he sees the Predator, and his walkie-talkie goes off, so the Predator notices him, and he turns invisible and flashes his eyes blue, which is such a cool callback to the first movie. I don't think any other Predator movies does the flashing eyes, only AVP Requiem, which is crazy because that's a cool effect. Anyways, he kills the guy, and then the sheriff meets up with the guy he picked up in some coffee shop, and then he talks to the waitress who apparently is the wife of the cop that got killed by the Predator, and then they're like, he never came home, and she's like, he always calls, and then he's like, ah, fuck. So then they go out looking for him, and then they find his body hanging upside down, skinned, man. Imagine going to tell the wife that, fuck. And then they go to the coroner who's like 99-cent store Philip Seymour Hoffman. And he's like, you know what it would take for someone to skin a human being entirely? And the cop's like, there were no tracks either. So like, this is very strange. Just kind of retreading, you know, the plot beats of the original. Then we cut to the Predator who's going through the sewers. And this is one of the scenes I actually enjoy. Even if it's darkly lit, it adds to the horror and the mystery. But before we get into any fighting, we cut back to the girl and the dude. And she's like flirting with him and then eventually tells him, hey, you want to go swimming tonight? Come with me to like the pool of the school. And she reveals to him that she broke up with his boyfriend, so it's like,
Oh, it's time for action. You better go to that date, man.
I would kill to go on a date with her in the date they're going on. If you haven't seen this movie, you're gonna know what I'm talking about in just a minute. And now we cut back to the Predator who's actually starting to fight all the xenomorphs, and he's like f***ing them all up. And this scene is pretty dark, but I do like when he like holds up both xenomorphs at the same time. Like, I ain't no young Predator, motherfucker. I ain't a youngin'. I'm experienced. And the Predator alien just like breaks through the concrete. I'm like, damn, that's strong as hell. So the Predator turns invisible and goes after them. And we cut to the girl that was working at that coffee place, and she's closing down the store leaving, and then gets ambushed by a xenomorph. But the xenomorph backs off because the Predator xenomorph wants to deal with her. And then we cut back to the sheriff who meets the dude that he picked up at a bar, and he tells him like, dude, the other cop was skinned alive. Which, by the way, I don't know if cops can just be sharing out information like this with just regular folk. Like, is that allowed? And then they inform him, we got a report of a small gas explosion in the sewer under 16. And he's like, notify notify the fire department and I'll meet them there. And then the other dude's like, you want some help? He's like, I don't know, man. He's like, come on. And then we cut to the Predator going to some like power plant and seeing all the xenomorphs and just f***ing this whole place up. And we get the flashing lights again, bro. This movie has good callbacks to the original. And then we cut to my favorite scene in the movie where the guy meets up with the girl for their swimming date. And he's like, how are we gonna get in? She's like, I taped the lock after class. And this scene is like literally the only thing I remember seeing from this movie like 20 years after. I was 8 years old when I saw this movie because I saw it in theaters. And when she takes her clothes off, holy shit, brother. My 8-year-old brain could not handle that at the time. And then they start making out, and then the douchebag X and his friends show up. How the f did they know they were gonna be there? But I mean, for that alone, this movie is a step up from the Predator. I said it. So they start fighting and they jump into the pool, and then we cut back to the Predator and he falls and actually hurts himself. And he's just f***ing up this entire power plant because he has like 2 plasma cannons. 2! And so the entire power goes out in like the entire city. And as the lights cut off, we cut back to the guys in the pool, and then a xenomorph goes into the fucking pool. But you just see the pool just turn red from all the blood, so the survivors are running away and they're escaping through a window as the xenomorph is following them. And obviously one of them gets killed, so the rest of them just book it. And now we cut back to the girl using the night vision goggles at night in her room, and she's looking out the window and sees a fucking xenomorph. So she freaks out and her parents come into the room like, what the f***? Which is a cool scene because they do the classic, oh sweetie, you must have had a bad dream, there's no such thing as monsters. She looks out the window, the fucking xenomorph pops out. So the mom and daughter just run away, and then we cut to the Predator showing up to the pool place and killing one of the xenomorphs. And he puts all the bodies in and takes his blue liquid out and just pours it all over to like disintegrate everything. I love the addition of the blue liquid in this movie. And then we cut back to Sheriff in Dallas, and his brother shows up and he's like, what the hell are you doing here? He's like, something came after us. And he's like, whoa, 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 what the f is going on? So they go to the pool to explore, and why is Dallas with the cop? Dude, let me do the cop work. Stay the f back. Who the f do you think you are? And then they see all the blood in the lockers and they're like, what the f happened here? And the other dude's like, bro, we gotta call for help. And then he's like trying to radio his other cops and no one answers, so they're like, all right, we definitely need to get the f out of here. And then we cut back to the Predator doing a self-surgery scene, which is again just retreading another, like literally the same scene. And they run into this crazy guy smoking a cigarette with a gun, and he's like, shh, come over here, come over here. And they just instantly trust him. I would not have trusted this random dude in a cemetery. And the little girl's making a lot of noise, so he's like, shut her up. And then she's like, hey, put the cigarette out and get down. He's like, I'm not gonna die hiding. F you. And then the Predator notices him and just takes care of him. And then he sees the girl and the mom running away. And then we cut back to the sheriff who runs into Carrie, and she's like, her stomach could have gone and she's dead. And he's like, all right, get her inside. And the other guy is like, we need f***ing guns. People are dying. This is crazy. And he's like, dude, the National Guard is gonna be here. Chill the f*** out. Let's wait. And this next part makes literal zero f***ing sense. He lets an ex-convict break into a store to get guns. What? It's funny that the dickhead boyfriend, such a terrible character, is the only one that says something smart in this scene. He's like, why don't, this plan sucks, let's just leave town. He's like, we're not gonna be able to make it out of town if we don't have guns. What led you to that conclusion? A couple people are dying here and there, but you don't know that you're dealing with Predator and xenomorphs. Like, you have zero evidence of that. So what led you to that conclusion that you need guns? So now the National Guard show up, and as they're loading up in the gun store, we just see the xenomorphs take out all the National Guards in the rain. And I love this scene, even if it's poorly shot. It is very poorly like lit, but you just seeing them all fucking getting killed one by one. I don't know why, I fucking love that scene. I love that scene. It's good action. Like, tell me seeing the xenomorph with the red lights is not cool. So when the sheriff is trying to like communicate with the National Guard, none of them answer because they're all dead, and then they're like, ah, fuck. At this point, I think it would make sense to go break in and get guns, because if the National Guard got taken out, we in for a long night. And then they find these 2 employees from the store, and Dallas is like, all right, grab some rifles, as if he's the fucking leader, bro. There's a sheriff right there. How the fuck is Dallas, the ex-convict, the leader of this group? And somehow the mom and the girl character run into the same fucking store. And then we cut to the hospital and we see someone getting brought in with a face hugger, I believe. And then we also see that the Predator xenomorph is coming towards the hospital, and it attacks one of the nurses. And the scene that follows always blows my mind that they included it in this film. It is insane. The Predator xenomorph is like putting eggs through a like pregnant woman's throat. It's so crazy. I did a commentary for this movie on my Patreon. This whole background fell because I'll show you the clip. But why is it even doing that? Don't xenomorphs like impregnate people with the face huggers? They can't put eggs with their throat. Well, what is happening in this scene? Then we cut back to them in the gun store, and Dallas gets caught in one of Predator's traps. He shoots himself out. A xenomorph comes out of nowhere, but the Predator kills it. And the Predator kills also the 2 employees, and he kills another xenomorph, which like spills its acid blood on the dickhead boyfriend. He just like melts. However, the important characters have plot armor, so they make it out as Predator just starts fighting more and more xenomorphs. And then we just see these fucking chest bursters come out of these pregnant women. It's such a nasty scene in all the worst ways possible. You're dealing with pregnant women, and it's just, God. The rest of our group is out in the open. They find all the National Guard trucks and stuff. Nobody's there, so they go inside and get more weapons. And then the dude radios in National Guard, and then Colonel Stevens of the U.S. Army answers the radio, and the sheriff's like, you gotta help us, man. There's some kind of infestation. He's like, what's the Army's evacuation plan? And the high-up military dude's like, there's an airlift in Gillian Circle in about 30 minutes. Be there or die. I added that last part in, but that's essentially what he's saying, because he looks like, bro, we're bombing this shit. I don't know why, I just would not trust that from a high up general. And so they start driving this National Guard vehicle, and then the girl stops the car and she's like, wait, this doesn't make any sense. Gillian Circle's right in the middle of everything. And the girl in the back's like, that's crazy. The government doesn't lie to people. Everyone just looks at her like, and obviously it makes sense because she's part of the military. So she's like, the Army thinks about containment first. She's like, they can't risk any of this getting out. And then the lady in the background's like, there's only 2 helicopters in town. One's at the hospital, one at the airport. And they're like, let's go to the one in the hospital. I'm like, do any of you know how to pilot a fucking helicopter? And then they decide to split up because Dallas is like, make a fucking choice. If you believe what the government says, go with the sheriff to the center of town. If you want to come with us in the tank, we're getting the hell out in that helicopter. So they split up, and then Dallas is like, hey, take care. I love this next part. When they arrive at the hospital, Dallas is like, okay, whatever happens in there, the only person that can't get killed or hurt is Kelly. And then the fucking random guy is like, what the fuck is this, Titanic? The fucking women and children first. He's like, hey man, unless you know how to fly a helicopter, then shut the fuck up. I mean, she used to be the hottest girl in the world for me, so I agree. Let's make sure she gets out alive so I can take her on a date. And now the Predator shows up to the hospital. Come on. That is not a badly lit shot. And then they run into a xenomorph, so they all start shooting. And the Predator fucks up a couple xenomorphs before he gets into the real battle, which is the Yautja versus the Xeno-Yautja, if you will. But I hate this next scene because the Predator throws like his boomerang knives and it kills the hot girl. Fuck, man. Predator, why'd you have to do that? And the guy that was into her gets all mad and starts shooting at it, but he got lucky as that a xenomorph like tackles him through the elevator. But then he gets stabbed by the Yautja xenomorph, and Dallas starts shooting at it and it runs away in fear. So the regular xenomorphs can take out a whole squad of the National Guard with automatic weapons. And supposedly the Yautja xenomorph is even stronger than them. And one dude who's a convict, not even a soldier, shooting an automatic weapon and he just runs away? Explain the logic. Now what I forgot to mention is while the Predator was fighting the xenomorphs, he did lose his plasma cannons and they are able to pick it up. So they're using it against the aliens, which is I think a lot more realistic. And when they finally do reach the helicopter, it's like, I guess this military girl knows how to fly a helicopter all of a sudden, because did they ever mention that in the movie? I never caught them saying that she was a helicopter pilot. And then we finally see the Predator who comes to the rooftop and he finally gets into the battle with the Yautja Predator. And it's kind of like AVP where he doesn't have his plasma cannon, so it's all just like his knives and spears and all that kind of shit. Now it is pretty badass that it's in the rain, but there is a lot left to be desired in this scene because the lighting is just so bad once again. You can barely see shit. But for what we get, it is pretty badass. He takes off his mask and they just like run into each other and the xenomorph like pushes him back. So the rest of them are just flying away in the helicopter as the Predator and the Predator xenomorph are facing off. And I like this scene where like it shoots out the little tongue, penis, whatever thing comes out of his mouth, and the Predator grabs him and like yanks it out. But he also gets hurt, and then we just see the military plane drop a nuke and kill the sheriff and pretty much everyone in that town. And the blast is so powerful that it actually makes the helicopter crash. Now even though this helicopter crashed, everyone is alive. Plot armor, and these soldiers come out of nowhere. They're like Navy SEALs and they're like, put down your weapons, put down your weapons. And Dallas hands in the plasma cannon from the Predator to the soldiers, and they're all safe and they got rescued, yada yada yada. But then they set up for a third movie, which this movie was so bad they never got the funding for the third movie. But you see the high up military guy walking with the suitcase, and he shows the plasma cannon of the Predator, and some random girl's like,
The world isn't ready for this technology yet.
and the dude responds, but this isn't for our world, is it, Miss Yutani? Oh, Easter egg! Isn't it called the Yutani Weyland Corporation? But you guys can totally forget about that scene because that will never get ever mentioned up ever again. I mean, unless the new AVP movie does, which would be wild. I cannot lie, this movie is ass. But I'm gonna stick to my guns here. And it is definitely better than The Predator. Fuck anyone who puts this movie below The Predator. Fuck you. This movie has one of the hottest girls ever at the time for me. The Predator at least is way more badass in this movie than The Predator with the fucking huge ass Predator and oh god. The characters are, I can't say better than The Predator, but I mean, maybe just a slight step above because at least they're trying. In The Predator, dude, they just go, oh my god. We'll get to that film in a second. But hey, I have good memories with this movie. I can still watch it and not punch the screen like The Predator. And I played AVP Requiem on the PSP. So, you know, there's some good moments in this film. But all in all, it is definitely the second worst Predator movie. And now we move on to Predators. When this movie was first announced, I was pumped.
I was like, oh my god, there's a new Predator movie and there's gonna be more than one Predator. There's Adrian Brody, an Oscar-level actor. I'm like, what the fuck?
When I finally saw the movie, I left extremely disappointed. I never saw the movie ever again since that theater experience. So it's been like 15 fucking years since I've seen this movie. So I was like, you know what? Let me give it a second shot. It's been a long time. Maybe it was a little too harsh on it. So I tried to do a Patreon commentary and I literally tapped out. This movie pissed me off so much, I couldn't even finish it. I was like, god damn it, dude. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna go one step further and piss all you guys off. I think Alien vs. Predator Requiem is a much more enjoyable film than Predators. So first we see Adrian Brody in free fall. His parachute opens. He's in some like wild jungle. There's a bunch of other people there as well. And then right off the bat, there's a minigun shooting at him and Danny Trejo, Machete. And not a single bullet gets them. This pissed me off already because I was like, dude, you know how powerful a minigun is? And not a single bullet hits them? And the dude runs out of bullets, so he tries to recharge, and Adrian Brody puts the gun to his head like, hey, stop that. If anybody shot a minigun at me, and in some miraculous world, I did not die, I dodged all those bullets like the goddamn Matrix, I would not say,
Hey man, stop it.
I would shoot you right away. Right away, no questions asked. You're fucking dead. You better kill me because if you don't, I'm killing you. Who the fuck would do that? The guy was trying to kill you and you're just gonna be like, hey man, stop it. And trust him? What the fuck is this? So already, I'm pissed. Then they run into this like sniper girl, and then there's also like an Asian dude who takes off his shoes in the jungle. Why would you do that? Ugh, this movie's pissing me off.
Barefoot in the jungle. You gotta eat a lot of these in your feet. They remind you that you were stupid enough to walk barefoot in the Amazon.
Who in their right mind would take off their shoes in the fucking jungle? What? Then they run into two guys who are fighting, and look who it is. It's Walton Goggins, dude. That's so cool. And what's his name? Mahershala Ali. Ha-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la. And then there's another dude who's hanging off a tree. They get him down by shooting the branch. Now, if you actually think of the setup of this movie, it has so much potential. Dropping a bunch of elite soldiers in some like nature preserve of the Predators so they can hunt them. I'm like, that sounds awesome. What baffles me is how poorly they executed this setup. Brother, two of them are not even soldiers. One's a doctor and the other one's an ex-convict who only has a knife. That's not very threatening to the Predators. There is one funny scene though. Walton Goggins is awesome. He's just walking staring at the girl's ass, and then she like notices, and instead of just like being like, oh my bad, or like I was looking at something else, he totally owns up to it. He's like,
your ass is awesome.
hey man, if you're gonna own it, respect. They find the Asian dude just staring at something, and it's like a bunch of skulls and corpses and this metal thing that doesn't make sense. And this is one of the problems I have with this film. There's so much exposition that makes no sense. How do these characters know these things? They just say shit for saying shit. Mahershala Ali's character is like, whoever they are, they take trophies. I'm like, how do you know that? The other guy's like, it's a test. They want us to see how we do under pressure. Then one of the guys about to touch one of the most exotic plants with spikes on it. I'm like, brother, like, how dumb are these characters? You don't know where you are? Don't touch shit. Don't touch shit. And the doctor's like, oh, I know what this is. Arche fructus leoningidius. I don't know what the f it is. He's like, it's really poisonous. I'm like, aren't they on an alien planet? How the f would he know this? Now the girl shows Adrian Brody something interesting. She puts like a stick or a needle on some leaf and it just spins in all directions. Like, in my opinion, that means like there's no magnetic North Pole, right? Like, that's what I got from it. So they're still very confused as to where the f they are. And then they run into this cage in the middle of the forest, and Adrian Brody goes like this, as if they're in a team. Like, brother, none of you guys know each other. I'd be like, why would anybody stop and like break formation or some shit like that. Like, what? We're not a team. I don't know you. Like, what the what does this mean? They take off the parachute. There's nothing in there, but obviously the cage is open and they look around and there's a bunch of other ones. And then they run into these traps and nobody gets caught. I mean, literally they all escape all the traps. So either the traps really suck or they all have plot armor. And then they see it was like a fallen soldier who set up these traps, and whatever he was trying to kill got to him first. And then Mahershala Ali starts staring at the trees just like Billy from the first one. And the girl's like, do you see anything? He's like, nah, it's nothing. This is a major issue I had the first time I saw this movie, is that like it just takes scenes from the first movie and just puts it in this movie. But rewatching it, I didn't understand how much they did it. It's so egregious. Now this next shot is actually badass. This is like the first time I was like, okay, this is fucking cool. They realize they're not on planet Earth, bro. This is very similar to like when Charlton Heston in Planet of the Apes sees the Statue of Liberty and he's like, fuck, I've been on Earth this whole time. It's kind of like that, but in the reverse, where it's like, oh shit, we're definitely not on Earth, because they were thinking like, are we in an Asian jungle? Are we in an African jungle? Where the fuck are we? And then when you see all those planets, you're like, oh shit. I was like, that was actually a cool moment. And then they hear something above them in the sky and they all get spooked, and then Walton Gog is like, man, this, I want a gun. He's with a bitch ass knife. Obviously nobody wants to give him a gun because he's like an ex-convict and murderer, and the way he freaking puts the knife on Mahershala Ali's neck, like begging for him to give him a gun, not the right way to go about that. And then we get our first major battle. We get a bunch of predator dogs and they all start shooting at it, and the predator dogs are actually pretty cool looking. I will say that because in The Predator they use predator dogs as well, and it looks awful. This movie actually has some pretty badass predator dogs. Now this is a little bit of a retread from the original movie with the scene where they all start shooting in the forest, and one of them attacks Walton Goggins, who only has a knife, and then the other dude saves him. Then Adrian Brody slices one in half. I'm like, brother, what? Like, it takes like so many bullets to take these guys out, and then he can just slash one with one. Oh my god. But there's a cool moment in this scene where the girl gets cornered by one of the dogs and she's shooting at it. She's running out of bullets, so then she like puts the gun to her head like, I'm not gonna die getting eaten alive. And I'm like, you know what, respect, because like getting eaten alive, ooh, that's not the way I want to go. I'd rather make it, you know, quick. But then all of a sudden the dogs get called away, so they all like run away, and they're like, what the f just happened? And the doctor's like, what the hell is going on? And then Adrian Brody, once again with the exposition, because he knows everything that's going on, it's like, we're being hunted. This planet is a game preserve and we're the game. How the f did you come up with this conclusion? I mean, I'm telling you, this movie pisses me off. Like every fucking 3 minutes there's something just making me mad. Like he's just putting all of this together amidst battle. Even the girl's like, how do you know this? And then he's like, because that's what I would do. Really? This is the best writing you guys could come up with for this movie? And then they notice Danny Trejo's like badly injured, but he's also like a trap. So they all just decide to leave him. So the girl is the only one with the heart and decides to shoot him so he can have a quick death. But then she hears him say, help me again. That was a creepy moment. I like that moment. That was cool, because you know how predators, you know, they use the voice thing. I thought that was an effective moment. And then Adrian Brody is like, it wants us to run, that's how it hunts, so instead of that, let's go straight to it. Which, I mean, I don't think that's a great idea. So they follow the dog tracks and they arrive at like the predator sanctuary or whatever the f this place is, and they see a live Yautja tied up, and the doctor notices that Adrian Brody just disappeared, and Mahershala Ali just gets stabbed in the stomach by a spear and dies. And Adrian Brody comes out of nowhere and starts shooting, and he sees like 3 flashing lights, and they all just start shooting like crazy as they run, and they all fall in some lake. And then we actually see the predators for the first time. There's like 3 of them with their predator dogs. And I gotta say, one thing I will give this movie, the mask design of this predator is so fucking badass. He's in my top 3 predator masks. And then as the rest of the group gets out of the water and recovers, the girl just instantly socks Adrian Brody in the face. She's like, you set us up, which is obviously a direct quote from the first movie when Arnold Schwarzenegger's like, you set us up. This movie just had such a great premise, and it felt like the writers were just extremely lazy. Like they put no effort. It was just like copy paste, copy paste. So he used them as bait just to find out what they were going up against, and now he knows that
there's multiple of them. They use projectile energy-based weapons. They have some sort of cloaking device. They're bigger than us. I'm like, brother, what? Like,
the fact that he said projectile energy-based weapons, like, bro, this guy is not real. This guy's not real. This is an NPC. And then he points out that she knows what it is, and then she gives exposition about the first movie. I don't need you to retread the first movie. It's my favorite movie of all time. fucking make your own movie. And then Adrian Brody comes up with a plan.
We'll set up a defensive perimeter, we'll make it look like we're holding up, that'll bring them to us, and we force them into a choke point, we get them overlapping fields of fire. He's like, it can be done.
The one thing I like about this movie is Walton Goggins, because at least he's funny as He's like, if we ever make it out here, I'm gonna do so much fucking cocaine. And then he's like, what time is it? Oh, it's time for me to go rape me some fine bitches. You know what I'm saying? And the doctor's like, no, yeah, totally. Like, dude, the dialogue is so outrageous in this movie. I think this movie is starting to border, like, it's so bad, it's kind of good, like, in a funny way. So they do their little traps, and they're waiting for the predators, and then they hear some noises in the distance, so they all get ready. So they send the doctor out running as bait, and something's chasing him, and they shoot it down, and then they go check it out, and it's not a predator, they don't know what the fuck it is, and then she realizes, like, oh, I missed the shot. And then we see a predator coming out of invisibility holding a gun to Adrian Brody, and this is when we fucking meet up with Morpheus. Morpheus is using Predator's cloaking device and mask. And he's like, you guys talk too loud. And then Lauren Fishburne's is like, come on, follow me. You guys are a bunch of amateurs. So they all follow Morpheus back to his like lair. And he has a pretty cool hideout spot, to be honest. I guess it's some like big broken or crashed spaceship. So they ask him, how'd you survive? And he's like, salvaging what I can, when I can, from whatever I can. And so Adrian Brody asks like, did you kill one? He's like, I killed 2, maybe 3. I'm Morpheus, bitch. What do you think? And he's like, there's 2 different types of them out there. They're similar, but they're different. He's like, it's kind of like the difference between dogs and wolves. Like, they're similar, but they're still different. Like, the larger ones hunt the smaller one. It's some kind of blood feud, I guess. Adrian Brody's like, so they do this for sport? And he's like, hell yeah, man. Every season they bring in fresh new meat. Walton Goggins like, how long you been here? He's like, 7 seasons. And he's like, once we kill one of them, they get super interested. They always come back, they adapt, they get new skills, and they always come in pairs of 3. And then Adrian Brody says they come back every season. How? And he's like, they got a spaceship. And he's like, that's how we're gonna get out. And then Adrian Brody's like, maybe you should tell me something about this ship. And he's like, yeah, of course, because you're gonna command and fly the spaceship out of here? He's like, I'll give it a shot. And then he's like, I'm gonna go get some sleep. Now, one thing I forgot to mention is that Lawrence Fishburne does say the ship is right 30 yards away from their camp. And he's like, I'm going back there. And she's like, did you learn how to fly something in the last hour? And he's like, no, but I bet you that thing that's strung up there does. And I know that he's locked up, so if we set him free, he'd probably do what we'd say. And I'm like, you know what? That's not that bad of an idea. I mean, it's far-fetched. We gotta suspend our disbelief, but at the same time, you got a better idea? And then he was about to say the line from AVP when he's like, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. But he's like, the enemy of my enemy. She's like, that doesn't make it a friend. And then a fire starts out of nowhere, and you realize Lawrence Fishburne started the fire. So then Adrian Brody shoots his gun, and then the predators know where they are, and they're coming after them. And as Lawrence Fishburne is running away, he runs into one of the predators. You see the lasers on him, and it shoots him dead. That's another thing, dude. I was so excited to see Morpheus in this movie, and they totally like waste his character. Like, he's in the movie for like 15 fucking minutes. They could have done so much more with him. And as they're trying to escape, the doctor character like gets separated, and he's like using these flares, and you can hear the predator around him, but it doesn't attack him. And then the other dude actually comes back for him and shoots the predator and saves him. That boy a real one. That dude a real one. I would have not. You're toast if that was me. But then he gets shot by the predator, and the dude totally leaves him behind. But as the predator hoists him up, he explodes with like grenades and kills the predator. I'm telling you, bro, those Russians are some bad mama jambas. Then Walton Goggins gets shot. Another predator comes out of his invisibility cloak. But somehow Walton Goggins did not die from that blast because he was wearing one of like Morpheus's gadgets. And then Predator just rips out his spine and skull. And as they're running away, the Japanese dude stops, takes out his sword. And this is literally shot for shot the exact same scene with Billy in the first one. I remember watching this scene in theaters being like so frustrated, being like, really? You're really gonna do this? Guys, I'm not kidding. It's literally the same thing. There's 4 of them left, 2 guys, 1 girl, and him, just like in the original. He takes out his sword. The same music is playing. I'm like, motherfucker. They do have a pretty cool badass fight. I just find it surprising that he's able to kill the predator. They don't do a good job of establishing power levels. It's like you have weapons and stuff and you can't take it out, and that he can take it out with the sword. It's like, I guess. And as the last 3 are running away, the doctor gets caught in one of the predator's traps. Adrian Brody's like, bro, he's done, leave him. So Adrian Brody just ditches them, and the girl actually stays with him. And Adrian Brody goes to the tied up Yautja, and he starts talking to it in English as if it understands. He's just like, I want off this planet. You understand me? No, brother, he doesn't understand you. What the fuck? Like, could you at least make a drawing or like make a model and like show him like, I want on this, I don't know, do something better. So he cuts it down, and then it starts to hold hold him by the neck. Then the other two get caught in another trap. And then the Yautja that Adrian Brody released starts arming himself and then actually activates the ship. And then the other Predator arrives with his two captives. So Adrian Brody starts running for the ship as the other two start to fight. And this is actually pretty badass. They just start swinging at each other, tackling each other, roaring at each other. And the ship starts to leave, so you think Adrian Brody has left. And then the other Predator takes off his mask, and I love his face design. His face design is cool as fuck. And then he just holds them, roaring, and then just slices off his head. I'm like, that is a pretty savage moment. And then out of nowhere, the doctor character stabs the girl with the poison thing, which like paralyzes you. The other Predator is running after the ship, and it already left, so he just self-destructs it, which seems kind of wild. Isn't that like a lot of money and resources to make a spaceship? He's just gonna blow it up like that. And then we figure out that the Predators chose the doctor, and he starts to talk like, back home, I was a murderer, I'm a freak.
And he's like, but here amongst the monsters, I'm normal.
I'm like, this is where the movie just goes completely batshit off the rails. Why you gotta make it so weird? Like, it's such a not cool twist moment. Like, it's just ridiculous. And then we see that Adrian Brody came back. He was never on the spaceship, so he gets them out of there. And as the dude's about to stab him, Adrian Brody takes the knife and stabs it in his neck, and he's like, I'm fast. And then he uses him as bait for the last final fight with the last Yautja. So the Yautja just stabs him to make sure he's dead. And then he flips him over, and there's a ton of grenades. So it explodes and sends the Yautja flying backwards. And Adrian Brody's all covered in mud, just like Arnold in the first movie, retreaded the same thing. He literally says the exact same line in this scene too. He's like, come on, I'm here, do it, come on, kill me. Just such lazy script writing, come on. And then Adrian Brody just smacks him a couple times with an axe, I believe. But the Yautja definitely gets the upper hand at some point, but the other girl that's paralyzed is able to move and get the sniper. And before the Yautja kills him, she's able to shoot him, and he sends his wrist knife flying at her shoulder. And then Adrian Brody is finally able to kill it from behind with the axe and just like murders it. And then obviously it's just the two of them remaining, and then they look up into the sky and they see more parachutes falling down, like the whole cycle is gonna start over again. And then Adrian Brody's like, let's find a way off this f***ing planet, and they just walk away. Just a terrible movie. I mean, I don't understand how people like this movie. I will put AVP Requiem over this movie. Jesus Christ. From the moment the movie started to the end, it just pissed me off. The characters pissed me off. The plot pisses me off. Everything was just bad about this movie. There were some cool moments here and there. You know, the face mask was cool. The face design was cool. The game preserve idea was kind of neat, but oh my God, the execution of this film was horrible. Just straight up horrible. And the worst part is the next movie, The Predator, gets even worse. And I'm gonna be honest, that movie is so bad. I hate that movie so much that I didn't even want to revisit it for this video. But luckily, I've already made a review for that movie. So if you're interested in seeing younger YouTube Enzo reviewing The Predator, stay tuned. If not, you can go in the timestamps below and you can skip ahead to Prey. But yeah, there's no way I'm gonna revisit The Predator because that movie pisses me off even more. So enjoy young Enzo YouTube review.
Everything okay back there?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing The Predator, because if you don't know, I'm actually reviewing all the Predator movies right before the new movie comes out, Prey. So if this whole Predator marathon sounds interesting to you, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the bell so you won't miss a single video, and let's go ahead and start with the only movie that I didn't see in this franchise, The Predator. And the only reason why I didn't watch this movie is because I heard other reviewers say it was really bad, so I didn't want to waste my time. But if I'm going to do a proper marathon of the Predator movies, I need to watch all of them, and I started with the one that I didn't see, The Predator. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. It was so bad that it was actually funny to watch. Like, I actually enjoyed the movie because it was so laughably bad. And obviously I went into it with low expectations, so I couldn't get disappointed, but would I ever revisit this movie? Absolutely not. I would never waste my time with this. If anything, I would have it playing in the background when I'm cooking or doing something else. That's what kind of movie it is. Like, but let's talk about the plot of this movie, which if you haven't seen already, once I tell you what it is, you're not going to believe me. So just bear with me because I know it's going to sound outlandish, but I'm not lying to you guys. In a nutshell, the movie The Predator is about predators trying to steal autism. I mean, I don't understand who pitched this story about the Predator, and some studio or someone's like, yeah, I'm gonna fund that movie. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So in the original movie, we see Predator taking the skulls and spines of his prey as trophies, but this movie completely disregards that and changes the lore into Predators taking the spines so that they can take the DNA of the best species of every planet so that they can combine all the DNA strands to create the ultimate Predator hybrid, which leads to my favorite line in the movie.
Experts say that being on the spectrum isn't really a disorder. It's actually the next step in the evolutionary chain.
No one has ever said that in the history of humanity until that person said, what the fuck? I mean, what the fuck? I understand that certain autistic people can be very smart, but to say that they're the next step in the evolutionary chain is such a stretch for me. I cannot believe... I literally stopped the movie, rewind it, just to make sure that I actually heard this correctly, and then I heard it, I was like, oh wow. They actually went for that. So yeah, the Predators are trying to steal an autistic kid throughout the entire movie. If you were to ask me 10 years ago, we're gonna get a Predator movie that's about Predators trying to steal an autistic child, I would tell you you're out of your fucking mind. But yet here we are. Isn't that the beauty of life? Even when you think you've seen it all, it still surprises you. But let's move on to the acting, which was atrocious in this film. And I don't know if it's the actor's fault or if it's the script that's so bad that it doesn't allow the actors to shine through, but nobody stands out in this film. I mean, our main character is forgettable. This girl is so frustrating in the movie. I mean, there's literally a scene where she's explaining something important and look at the face that she makes. I couldn't believe it because it's a horror science fiction movie. You would think it would be a little bit more dramatic, or the director would tell the actors, hey, don't make a silly face. And the bad guy in this movie is awful as well. He is not charismatic, and he has some of the worst one-liners in this film. Like this scene when they're trying to explain why it's called the Predator, and then they're kind of mocking the name of the Predator, and then he's just like, oh, we just thought it was cooler.
Well, we took a vote. Predator's cooler, right?
Like, do they expect the audience to go along with this nonsense? And the movie really tried to make a point out of this, that the Predator name doesn't really fit for this creature, which makes no sense. Why are you trying to change... None of the members of the prison crew are interesting, and there's literally a scene, I am not kidding right now, about someone saying eat your pussy, and they make a whole like 2-minute segment out of this in a Predator movie.
Eat your pussy.
Wait, what?
How you doing?
You know, you just said eat your pussy. No, you said eat my pussy. What the fuck is wrong with him?
I said you're pushing. You said you're pushing.
No, you said eat your pussy.
Are you shitting me? I remember watching the scene like, what am I watching? What am I watching right now? Is this am I on the wrong? What is this? Why are we making a fuss out of this in a Predator movie? What is going on? And don't get me started with some of the cheap fan service. I mean, come on, I loved fan service as much as anyone else, but when it's done right, this movie is literally just take some good one-liners from the first movie, copy-paste it onto this movie. That's exactly what they did. Remember when Arnold Schwarzenegger's like, get back to the chopper? Well, let's go ahead and put that in this movie.
Get to the chopper!
What about when Arnold Schwarzenegger's like, come on, do it, kill me now, do it! Well, let's put it in this movie.
Hey! I'm the one you want. Right here. Come on, you ugly...
But you know what usually is the saving grace with these movies? Okay, it's a really bad plot, the acting's bad, but usually those movies have really good special effects, so it'll be a fun time. Wrong! The CGI in this movie is terrible! I mean, I can't believe this. I cannot believe what I'm watching right now. I mean, the first Predator actually looked good because it's actually a guy in a suit, but the second Predator is fully CGI, and the CGI is so bad. I don't know if the budget was low for this movie, but you could tell it looked like a video game. Look at this scene. It is atrocious. How can you mess up the Predator? Like, that's your one thing that you can still nail in this movie. Make him look cool, make him badass, and you make him CGI garbage? Oh no, how can this happen? And just when you think it couldn't get any worse, it could not possibly get any worse. But it does! The ending might very well possibly be the worst 5 minutes of cinema I've ever seen in my life. When they take out the Predator killer, it is laughably bad. I mean, let's just take a moment to analyze this scene. There is zero creativity. Let's take that into account. I mean, they took that from Iron Man, 100%. The CGI is terrible, once again, looks like a video game. And then the one-liners are terrible again.
That's my new suit, Bubba. I hope they got into 42 long.
This movie is definitely the worst installment in the franchise, and knock on wood, but Prey cannot be this bad. I mean, it can only go uphill from here, right? I know I said that before and I was wrong because I saw the movie Predators. I was like, oh, it couldn't get any worse than this. And then The Predator came out and it was worse than Predators. I'm literally crossing my fingers at this point. Like, I don't need it to be as good as the original one, but it gotta be better than The Predator. It's gotta be better than The Predator, please. So I'm gonna give The Predator an F-. There's nothing that works about this movie. You got terrible terrible acting, terrible story, terrible CGI, terrible ending, terrible. Anyways, that's my review for The Predator. It is absolutely a pile of dog shit. So let me know down in the comments below, what are your thoughts on The Predator? The next movie that I'm going to be reviewing is Predator 2. I actually enjoy that movie a lot, so I'm looking forward to that. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so you won't miss it, and I'll catch y'all later. Peace. Now let's talk about Prey, which came out in 2022. This was surprisingly an awesome flick. I really enjoyed this Predator movie, and I did not expect that, because when you see that the protagonist is going to be a female Comanche, a girl, going up against one of the most badass hunters in the universe, it's hard not to roll your eyes. But hey, this turned out to be pretty fucking good. So we get some beautiful opening landscape shots. I mean, where was this movie filmed? Because it's fucking gorgeous. I mean, that's what's awesome about this movie. It goes back to the nature, to the roots, to the jungle, and it's so well shot. So we see our main protagonist, which is a female Comanche, wake up, and she's doing her work on the field, and then her dog runs into the forest, and then we see her practicing throwing an axe to a tree, and then she sees a deer in the forest, and she tries to hunt it, but unfortunately she fails. Her dog gets caught in some trap, and she's like, what the fuck is this? Then she hears something, and she looks up into the sky, and she sees this big, like, trail of smoke and fire flying by. And then we get the title card, Prey. That's a badass shot. I thought that was a really cool way to introduce the Predator coming down. And then we cut to her shooting a bow and arrow as her brother is talking to her, and she takes too long, so he just shoots the bird out of the sky like easily, which is damn, that's a sniper shot he's got. God damn. And then she tells her brother, like, this morning I saw the sign, the Thunderbird in the sky. She's like, it's my time. I'm ready for Kutamiya. He's like, you really think you're ready? And I'm like, so in this culture, they have this fucking bird, that firebird that comes into the sky, which is a sign. Oh my God, look at that landscape shot. The Northern Great Plains, September 1719. Just a beautiful location to be shooting at. Then we cut to her in some like tiki hut with her mom, and she asks her, why do you want to hunt? And she's like, because you all think that I can't. Girl power. And then the Predator ship drops something off, and then you see the Predator in his invisibility cloak, and it's a badass entrance. I really like that shot. That's a good shot. And then we cut back to the main protagonist who's coming back to her tribe, and they're all like panicking, saying like, a lion, it took Buhi, we gotta find him. So they all gather up and they go into the forest to hunt this lion down, and she decides to follow them with her dog. And then one of them makes fun of her, like, who invited you? We're not gonna be long enough that we're gonna need a cook. So right, they're setting up this theme that like, she can't hunt, she's a girl, sexism, and now she's gonna try to prove herself. Nothing groundbreaking. And then we get this purely CGI shot of a snake eating a rat, and then the Predator killing the snake. And then they find the guy that was missing, and she starts like helping him out using these like herbal medicines. And then she uses orange tutsnia, which is like this orange flower that like cools your blood, which I thought is a cool way to kind of spice things up and switch it around, where it's not the mud every single time. Right, we've done the mud thing several times in the movies, and it's just enough already. And this movie kind of find a clever way around it, even though I prefer the mud. Then we cut to nighttime, and her brother's like, Tom wants to stay and hunt, and then she's like, I'm coming with you. And he's like, I can handle the lion. She's like, it's not just a lion. Why is Puhi alive? There's something that scared that cat away from its den. And he's like, stay with Puhi, he needs your help. So she goes with the others, but she finds the dead snake, and then also sees this big track on the ground, which is quite funny, because I do remember like in a lot of the movies them mentioning like you can't track them, like there's no tracks. Like in the first movie, he's always jumping on trees and shit. So it's interesting that in this movie he's a lot more prone to like walking on the ground. And then she looks up into the trees and she sees a bunch of blood, and then she's like, look, I found bear tracks maybe. But then she's like, why is it on its hind legs, and what skins a snake like that? And she's like, I'm gonna warn my brother, okay? So she goes back and she runs into her brother and the other guy, and he's like, we don't need torches, they'll scare the cat, we're trying to hunt this thing. He's like, why the did you come back? She's like, I found tracks and they were huge. He's like, I'm not frightened by a bear. She's like, I don't think it's a bear. She's like, I don't know what it was. I've never seen anything like it. It skinned and gutted a snake. And he's like, whatever it is, it's in the cat's den now. We'll have to deal with it first. So they get ready to hunt the cat. She gets up on the tree. The lion at night comes up onto the tree, and then it's her fucking moment to shine. But she gets distracted and it lunges at her and she fumbles the bag. And then when she wakes up, she's back in her tiki hut tent, and they tell her that Puki's alive because of her medicine. And she's like, there's something else out there. Ta Abi needs my help. And she's like, if your brother needed you, he wouldn't have brought you back here. She's like, you think the reason of Kutamaya is to prove you can hunt? She's like, there's only one reason: to survive. And then we see the brother coming back with the cat that he killed, and then he has this conversation with his sister where he's like, where are you going? We did it. And she's like, no, we didn't do it, okay? What do you think left those tracks and skinned that snake? And before I fell, I saw lightning in the trees. And she's like, come on. She's like, there's something else out there. She's like, we need to go back out there. And he's like, no, we're not. And he's like, well, fine. I'll do it myself. And this is funny because the brother's like, well, you definitely can't, because you've proven many times you can't. He's like, I had to carry you back, your unconscious ass. And she's like, I can hunt. And he's like, you tried, but you didn't bring it home. So she decides to go out there by herself with her dog, and we get some more beautiful landscape shots. God damn. And she finds some green blood on some branches, and then we get this cool scene of a bunny getting hunted down by a wolf, and the predator is watching the whole thing. And then the predator takes out the wolf, and even though these scenes are heavily CGI, I like how the predator is looking at the environment around him and looking at the natural predators in this ecosystem and then choosing which one is right for him. It's pretty cool. They both face off. He's in his invisibility cloak. I think it's a pretty cool scene. And then we cut back to her in her travels. She made camp. She's barbecuing and sharing food with her dog. And then we see the predator shining up his trophy of the wolf, which is a pretty cool scene. And then we cut back to her going in this field where she sees a bunch of skinned animals, which is freaking creepy as shit and just disturbing. And then we get a scene of her falling in like the jungle's version of quicksand. It's like quick mud, if you will, and she's struggling to get out of it, so she gets her axe out and starts throwing it as she's sinking further and further into it until she finally gets it stuck and she's able to pull herself out, which I think is a great setup for a payoff later in the film. And now we cut to one of my favorite scenes where she runs into a grizzly bear, and we all know, hey, predators aside, a real fucking animal that's a savage, a grizzly bear. Holy fuck, you don't want to mess with those. It's eating a deer, and she prepares to hunt it down by shooting an arrow at it, but the string snaps off, so she's trying to repair it as the bear is like, I see you. And her dog's a fucking real one because he provides a distraction for her, and it starts chasing him instead. And then it comes around the corner, she shoots her arrow, but it does nothing, so she starts running for her life and goes into the river and jumps into this like branch dam, if you will. And as the bear's trying to get her, the predator starts attacking it, but he's in his invisibility cloak. I think this is such a badass fight, and probably in my opinion one of the best parts in this movie, if not the best. The Yautja going against a grizzly bear, hand-to-hand combat. Holy fuck. And they go at it. What I love about it is the grizzly bear actually wins the first round, and he roars, and it's actually not that bad CGI. I actually kind of enjoy it. And he starts walking away, but the predator's like, man, I'm ready for round 2. And it starts charging him, and he one punch knocks it out. That's fucking badass. Just a one punch KO like that right on its jaw, and then it lifts him up in the air, roars, and the blood starts dripping down, and you kind of see the outline of the Yautja. That's a 10 out of 10 scene. That's like combining Predator and the bear scene in The Revenant. That's what I want. So she just starts swimming away for her life after seeing that horror, and he actually notices her. And obviously her washing up on the riverbed is kind of a retread of the original movie, but hey, at this point you're bound to get that in these movies. And then she runs into her like tribe members, and they're like, what are you guys doing here? And they're like, we're looking for you. And he's like, where the are you going? She's like, I saw it. He's like, you saw what? Like, I saw what left those tracks. He's like, the bear? And she was like, there was something else. I couldn't see it until it was covered in blood, but it was cloaked. But it looked like Mupitzel. He's like, you saw a monster from a children's story? And she's like, it killed the bear easily with its hands. And he's like, how come it didn't kill you? And they get into a fight, and obviously the predator shows up and just starts murking all of them, and she's bound down because she lost the fight. So she's trying to get free as the predator is just f***ing them all up, and she's able to get her axe and set herself free, but she decides to run away and goes into this field of tall grass, and one of her other comrades like pulls her down, but he thinks he's got it, so he's pulling his arrow back, but then she realizes there's like lasers on his face, so she pulls him aside, which saves his life, and they start booking it. And you can see in the grass the predator running, and it catches up to him, kills him, blood splattering, and she's still running away but gets caught in a f***ing trap. And then you hear a French voice in the distance, and then a bunch of French dudes with muskets come out of nowhere and knocks out our main protagonist. And then she wakes up caged, and she's in their camp, and then they push this guy to like talk to her. He's like, what did you see? And I guess he speaks Comanche or something, and then he's like, I think you should be helping us because we think this creature's a hunter looking for the strongest beast. And here we go with the exposition, and he's like, it killed your whole party. And then she's like, no, it did not kill everyone. And then they show that they have her brother captive as well, and so they tie them up to this tree as bait because they're trying to hunt this beast as well. And then they're looking out from a distance, and then the two of them look back, and all their comrades are just laying there dead, which is pretty creepy. And then you see one of the Frenchmen running saying like, he's coming, and then all hell breaks loose in this this scene. The Predator appears out of his invisibility cloak. He steps into a trap and you see his full face as he's screaming, which by the way, his mask design is not one of my favorites, but I love the direction they took it. Since it's like way further back in history, it's a lot more basic. You can see his mandibles as he's wearing the mask. I thought it was a pretty cool touch. He starts killing all the Frenchmen easily, them all up, and the brother and sister get a rock to set up a trap to cut off their ties, and they get back to the camp, and she tries to get her dog bag and fights off all the French dudes, but then she runs into one of the last survivors who's asking her for help because his leg is like torn off and there's like a piece of metal in it. So she decides to help him in exchange for him teaching her how to use the gun. So he teaches her how to use the gun, and the Predator appears on the camp and he just starts to act dead, and since he ate the orange flower, his body heat is not resonating in like the Predator's vision, and he steps on the dude by accident. The guy yells, so he instantly kills him, and then he aims at the dog, but the brother comes out of nowhere and hits him in the head, which makes him miss his spike, which I think is a pretty cool weapon. That's one of the weapons I do enjoy in this franchise. He has this like mobile gun that like shoots these metal spikes that follows the lasers. It's pretty badass. And as he's fighting the brother, she's able to notice that like, oh, those needles follow the lasers where they're pointed at in the tree, and so she distracts the Predator as he's fighting him, and he gets this really cool shot where he jumps in the air and spears him and also gets a bow and arrow on him, and they're both fighting 1v1, and then it stabs him out of nowhere, and then he comes out of his invisibility and just stares down the girl, but somehow her brother is not dead and hits him one more time in the leg, which gives her enough time to escape as he kills him for good. So she's obviously like devastated, and then she confronts one of the French dudes but actually sets him up for the Predator to kill him, and then like decapitates him, and she's right behind him with her little pistol, shoots him in the head, which makes the mask fall off, and he's obviously injured, and she grabs the mask. This is how I feel like the movie's clever in getting around the thing that like the protagonist is a woman, is that like they gradually hurt him little by little and he gets weaker and weaker as the movie gets on. It's not like a ultimate battle where it's like me versus you at 100%, but it's nighttime and he gets her to follow him into the mud quicksand, which is genius, and she's hiding in a tree. She jumps off and uses her hatchet to like hack it a couple times. He throws her off, and before he can throw his spear, the dog attacks him, which makes him miss, and he cuts off his own hand, which I think is kind of cheesy. Anyways, they fight 1v1 for a little, and she's able to tie this rope around him and pull him into the quick mud, and as he's coming out of it, he takes out his little needle gun that can shoot, and she starts repeating the classic line like, come on, do it! But the way they're able to spice things up is that she hid his mask somewhere, and it's pointed directly at his face, and so when he shoots, the needle passes her by and actually kills him. It's a little far-fetched, but it's a good idea in concept. So she finally comes home to her tribe with the head of the Yautja, proving herself as a real hunter. Or a huntress, if you will. And we get a quick Easter egg at the end where she throws the pistol to the guy and it says Raphael Aldolfi 1715, which is obviously the gun that appears in the second movie, and the movie ends with her tribe celebrating her as one of the hunters / huntresses of the tribe. This was a good ass movie. I really enjoyed this movie. Good fucking job. It was directed by Dan Trachtenberg, which is the same director of Predator Badlands. I don't understand how he did such a bad job with that movie, but this entry was a solid entry in the franchise. I enjoyed it. It was grounded. Good action, back in the jungle, cool weapons, they're not cheesy, solid movie. I like.
My son, tell me why we fight.
You all have traveled far.
Only one thing.
You're not hearing me.
Predator, killer of killers. I'm so happy to say that this movie slaps. And just for context, Predator is my favorite movie of all time. Like, that 1987 film with Arnold is pure cinematic perfection. From start to finish, that movie is flawless. So you can imagine, I've been quite disappointed with some of these later entries, such as The Predator in particular, where they're going after autism and being on the spectrum is the next step in the evolutionary chain. You're just watching it like, what the
Experts say that being on the spectrum isn't really a disorder. It's actually the next step in the evolutionary chain.
So I'm super happy to say this movie is better than all those movies. As a matter of fact, I would go one step further. I think it's the best Predator movie since the first one. I said it! I said it! And I think the reason why is because it has everything you want in a Predator movie. For one, it's an anthology. Yeah. As a horror fan, I love anthologies. I mean, some of the best movies like Trick or Treat, All Hallows Eve, VHS, all anthologies, man. Like, I've been saying this for years. We need more anthologies, bro. Anthologies are such a great format. Now, this movie is not perfect by any means. There are some things that pissed me off, and we're gonna get into it. So, let's go. The movie starts off with this like Predator text on the screen, which gets translated to English, and it says, "Go forth amongst the stars and seek only the strongest prey. They shall be your trophy. Become the killer of killers." Which, by the way, the title, badass. Killer of killers? Now that's a title I fuck with, not the Predator. And then you see the Predator ship approaching Earth in 841 AD. So we're going far back. And then we see these Viking ships come out of the mist, which is a badass shot. And they're all getting ready to go to war. And we get introduced to the protagonist of this short. And it's this mother with her child. And she's telling him, like, if I fall tonight, you best avenge me, boy. They don't show much of the war, but we just cut to them winning the war and her interrogating this last survivor who's hanging. And she's asking, where is Zoran? And he spits at her. So obviously she takes a battle axe and just nails it in his side. Listen, those Viking days were rough. And it gets worse. Anyways, he gives up the information and she tells her son to kill this motherfucker. And he just stands there. So she cuts him in half. And she gives him a stare like, what the fuck, son? So they set up a campfire, they're sitting there, and then she finally tells her son the entire backstory of Zoran. This scene is so fucked up. Oh my god. She's literally like a child at this moment. There's a ton of arrows in her father. He's clearly dying. And this motherfucker Zoran is like telling him, she has to kill you or I will kill her. You're like, fuck, she's like 5 years old. What the hell's wrong with you? And so the dad takes a knife or a dagger, puts it on his chest, and is like, you gotta do it, you gotta do it. She's crying, and then she stabs him. It's horrific. I'm like, Jesus, this is the most savage thing I've seen in a Predator franchise, and there's no Predators yet. But his last words were, avenge me. So obviously she has this like passion to kill this Zoran dude. But off the bat, I mean, what a great way to get us invested in these characters. I mean, I don't think I've ever been invested as much in any of the movies. I mean, goddamn, you go through this wild backstory and there's no Predators and you're like, Jesus Christ, they're just in the background. I'm like, I feel like I'm watching Game of Thrones or Vikings right now. What the fuck is happening? And then we cut to them going to this other village where Zoran apparently is, and this is the scene that's gonna piss me off. And hey man, call me sexist, call me the new Andrew Tate, I don't give a I just can't with these scenes. I just can't. She goes and just literally everybody up with 2 shields. And I'm talking like, brother, not even a man could do this. So don't even call me sexist. Like, the fact that she's a woman going out there just murking everyone. I'm like, brother, you didn't have to do that. Why? Why?
If I see one more 110-pound woman beat the shit out of 50 big dudes, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind.
What are you talking about?
There was some show, CSI or some crap, and there's some Israeli Krav Maga girl in it, and she's like, I'm from Israel, so hey ya. I'm like, bitch, I would fuck you up so fast. I'm like, put me in the show. Let me be the bad guy. I'll show you ya. You'll be on the fucking first plane back to Tel Aviv with a busted eye.
God.
Bullshit.
Can I tell you my dream?
Bullshit lies.
I wish
the scene would have been just as badass if it was her with like her other 7 dudes and they're all fighting. It would be much more believable. You mean to tell me she's gonna go through 17 Viking men? Brother, push her down. Of course the light goes off. I get it. It's an animated movie. I'm supposed to suspend my disbelief. And I'm telling you, bro, this is one of the problems I'm going to have with this movie is there's some unrealistic as moments, and this one's not even the worst one. Anyways, they finally get to Zoran, and she's like mouthing off at him, and he doesn't even recognize her. And when he does finally remember, he's like talking shit to her, and she just ends up freezing, and her son kills him. I get the whole character moment of like, the son couldn't kill that guy in the beginning, now he's stepping up to kill Zoran when her mom couldn't kill him. But it's just like, all that backstory for your son to get, like, brother, I wanted to see her that dude up. Come on, man. What? Not the son. So already I was like, this is starting off cool. Now I'm like, not really with it. What's going on? But then, bro, the Predator appears. The Yayuncha, whatever the they're called. And this is easily one of my favorite Predator designs ever. Bro, this Predator is badass. Look at this motherfucker. He's huge, bro. Oh my god, his presence, his dude, Jesus. He starts one punch killing these Vikings. That's what I want to see. See, that's more believable. This massive beast, I want to see him fuck everyone up super easily. That's like what I want to see. Because if we're doing some like basic mental logic, Arnold Schwarzenegger was a 7-time Mr. Olympia. That guy was jacked. And in Predator, the Predator, who's not as big as this one, he's pretty skinny, pretty small compared to the one we're watching, was throwing 7-time Mr. Olympia around like a rag doll. So just imagine this tank of a Predator. Oh my god, dude. And that's exactly how it feels like, bro. He just rampages through that shit. And the weapon that he has is like some sort of like force field that like pushes you back. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of that gun in the Tom Cruise movie Minority Report where he could shoot these like shockwaves at people. That's exactly what it is. And he shoots her with it, which like makes the entire building collapse, and she's sliding down the ice as she's knocked out. And I swear to you, bro, I had flashbacks of Batman Begins. You know when Liam Neeson's going down and then Christian Bale saves him? I'm like, is that what's gonna happen? Is that what's gonna... No, it's not what happened. But she uses her shield to kind of steady herself, but she falls to the water. It sucks that there's scenes that I hate so much in the short because they don't make sense, man. She falls in ice water and she's just there for like a minute entirely swimming. She gets out, she fights the beast, and I'm like, brother, she'd be fucking hypothermia or hyperthermia, whatever the fuck it is. She'd be dead. I mean, the thing is that why it pisses me off is because you didn't have to do it. She could have just fell on top of the ice. Why? Why go the extra step to make it unrealistic? Come on! Anyways, they end up having this epic battle, and she ends up tying this like anchor to him, which makes him drown in the water. And she uses his gun against him by using the force to get out of the water while he goes backwards and slices his head up in the anchor. And then we see her walk up to her son who is dying, and then it just fades to her being like locked up in some prison. We're assuming that it's like a Predator ship. And there's this other dude there, and then we cut to the next short, which is easily by far my favorite short. The samurai short, chef's kiss. It starts off with some text that says the leaves of a tree grow side by side, brother, yet when they fall alone. So already we got some Shakespeare poetic text. Let's go, bro. I love Japan. I need to go to Japan, man. And this is taking place in Japan in 1609. And then we see these two brothers that are kind of playing and having a good time outside, connecting with each other. And then we see the father come, who's apparently this like samurai warlord. You can already tell by his face and his look, this motherfucker means business. And he puts the two boys to duel each other. That's what I'm talking about, that I love about this movie. Like, there's scenes that have nothing to do with Predator, and there's some of the most like hard scenes to watch, like putting brothers to fight each other. Man. And listen, I'm just gonna put it into context for you how good this short is. There's like literally a 5 to 10 minute stretch in this short that has 0 dialogue, and so much is said in those 5 to 10 minutes. That's literally the embodiment of a picture says 1,000 words. Great filmmaking. They literally do not talk for like 5 to 10 minutes, yet so much was said with just basic stares and body language. Unbelievable. In an animated movie, you see the dad looking at them like, you gotta do this. The one kid backs down like, I'm not gonna fight my own brother, f this. The other kid's like, f it, I'm going for it. And then they just start fighting. The one kid wins, not out of like a fair fight, just kind of like he just took the upper hand really quickly. Then the other kid just starts running away, and then you get the title card, The Sword. Great intro. Like, this is how you get me invested in a character. You get some backstory that's like hard like that, where you're like, oh my god, now I'm in. Now we fast forward to them being adults, and one of them is a ninja. I love ninjas, bro. Ninjas are just so badass, and they're so cool in movies. But you can tell he's like infiltrating this palace place to get to his like other brother, and the Predator is just like hanging in the background watching all of this. And you just get these really cool ninja fight scenes and him going like stealth mode to get to his brother. And then you finally get to see the brothers fight each other. It's epic. And at the end, the younger brother that ran away bested his other brother, and he gives him that scar right here, just like his brother did. Just little details like that, man, they go a long way. But then the Predator finally gets into the picture, and just like the other one, he just starts up all these samurais, and I won't say he's as cool looking as the first Predator, but he's still good. It still works for me. Anyways, the one ninja dude is able to escape, and they're running on the rooftops of those like Asian structures that I really think are really cool. And there's one scene I want to point out because it's genius how this guy thought about this on the spot, because you know that Predator has his like invisible cloak, so he's like not visible to this dude. So this guy has these like little red, or not red, they're like these balls that he throws and it like pops out red smoke. So as he's running, he jumps, turns around mid-air, throws it, the red smoke pops off, and for like a split second you can see the silhouette of the Predator go through the smoke, and you're like, damn, that was lit. That was sick. Anyways, the ninja dude falls into the river. He gets out of the river to find his brother, and they continue fighting. He's just like, whoa, wait. We got bigger fish to fry right now. Just chill out. And then the Predator comes out of nowhere, and they start both fighting it together. And this next scene confused the fuck out of me, and I'll tell you why. Because the one ninja dude gets this like device from the Predator into his gauntlet, and it like explodes. I thought the Predator was dead right there, because you see like blood on the tree. I rewinded it because I was like, what the fuck happened? But when I rewind the scene, you can clearly see that it just like threw the Predator backwards. It didn't actually explode him, and they both start circling, and you think they're gonna fight, but in fact it's actually the Predator that's invisible in the middle, and they both go in the middle to slice his ass up. That was a sweet reveal as well, because a leaf that's falling from the tree just stops midair, and they're like, oh, there he is. Something that I have to give my hats off to this movie is that they really executed all this very well, because we have seen Predator movies like Predators try to have the same kind of idea where they're throwing all these badass warriors in the movie. Like, you get a samurai in that movie, you get a special ops guy. Like, the problem is they don't execute it that well in that movie. They're just all randomly there. There's a doctor. You're just like, what the fuck is happening? But in this movie, they actually dive into Japan. They dive into the Vikings. They dive into Valhalla, all that stuff. The culture and the meaning and significance behind these warriors. Brother, this movie nails it. And just to put the cherry on the sundae, we end on a beautiful note on this show. This is why the samurai short's my favorite, because it's the most realistic out of the three, and it's just deep and profound, bro. Like, these brothers fighting, and then the one brother is stabbed, so they're both just kneeling down together in a beautiful sunset in the background. You're just like, wow. One, that's beautiful. Two, y'all been fighting for hours. Damn, this shit started at night. It's fucking sunrise. And the brother that is dying repeats that profound line from the beginning. The leaves of a tree grow side by side, brother. Yet when they fall alone. And the brother comes in and says, but you're not alone. You are not alone, my brother. And then he falls to his side. I mean, poetic, beautiful, inspiring. The best. That was the best short. Come on, man. That was amazing. And then it fades to him wearing that same thing on his neck. And then we see this other person in the room that's wearing like a military chain. And we cut to World War II. Man, man, does this short have problems, but it's still cool. So let's just get into it, because I got a lot to say about this one. So we're in Florida in 1941. We see this guy in this car, this young buck, just being all excited and looking at the planes. Dude, this scene reminds me of Top Gun, when Tom Cruise is on his motorcycle and he's going to that like air base and he sees all the jets flying. He's like, woo! That's what this scene is like, bro. Same shit, bro. But his car ends up breaking down, so his dad comes to help him fix the engine. And they're having like a real father and son moment, because it's one of those moments where it's like, maybe I'm like holding my son back because I help him so much. And that's kind of the sense that I got, because he has big dreams and he wants to be a pilot one day, and his father tells him, well, Charles Lindbergh could fix his own engine. So his father ends up deciding not to help him fix the engine, and he's like, I'm not going to bail you out anymore. You got to bail yourself out. You got to grow up. This is a father-son moment. I got to be a good dad. You got to do your shit now, man. And then he gives him the draft notice, and we get the title card, The Bullet. This movie goes that extra mile to really give you the setup for these characters are amazing, because I'm invested in every one of them. Really, the only flaws in this movie is the unrealistic scenes, which we're going to get to in this one. But as far as the character setup, 10 out of 10, man. 10 out of 10. And then we cut to him on some like aircraft carrier being like the mechanic for the airplanes, which is kind of like in line with what he wanted to do. He's not flying the damn thing, but I mean, at least he's working on them. And then all of a sudden they are under attack, so they're all getting in their airplanes to go do a counterattack. And then there's one guy who's injured. It's like, it killed everyone. I've never seen anything like it. Hooks in the sky. hooks in the sky. And then our main character, John Torres, notices like this metal piece inside one of the planes, so he goes to investigate it. And the commanding officer that's going into battle tells him, I want that engine fixed by the time I get back. So Torres goes to investigate this piece of metal. He can't cut it. He can't really get anything. And then all of a sudden, when he's like blowtorching it, it like activates and pops. And it literally flies into one of the planes right there and literally pulls the entire engine out. And then we cut to them being in battle, which is a really cool scene. You see all the planes flying in the air and everything. But John Torres tries to go to another officer telling him there's something else in the sky. Like, we're not dealing with just planes right here. There's something else there. But the dude ends up telling him, bro, they're too far out of range. We can't tell them anything. So he decides to get on a plane and go. And he catches up to them and he's trying to tell them, guys, like there's something else out here. And he's like, what the are you doing out here? Like, I'm the commanding officer. I throw around orders. What the hell is up with you? Get the back to the airbase. And then we see the Predator in his spaceship up all of these planes. This is one of the problems that I have with the movie. I just don't feel like this is very Predator-like. I mean, right? Like, the whole idea of Predators is that they want to prove like they're the ultimate hunters. They're the ultimate predators of the universe. And they want a fair fight. In this scene, it just kind of seems like he's being a bully. Right? Like, obviously his spaceship is way more technologically advanced and it's not a fair fight. He's just picking them off one by one. That doesn't seem very Yayunja-like. You know what I'm saying? Like, even I get it in the first movie, yeah, he has his little blaster cannon and that's way more advanced than what any of the soldiers have. But even at the end of the movie, when he fights with Arnold, he doesn't use that. He takes his mask off and everything and he's just having a fisticuffs with him, right? Like, he's not trying to just overpower people and be an asshole, because that's essentially what this Predators do. He's just being an asshole. The real motherfucking Predators, they want a fair fight because they want to show everyone, I'm the boss, I'm the king, I'm the alpha, and I'm gonna show you. And I feel like that gets taken away with this short, because this is just Predators being a bitch. If you're upset I'm ranting, get off now, because I'm about to go in on this movie right now. I'm gonna go in. This kid has like fire on his wing, so he gets out of the plane and crawls on the air wing. No, keep in mind, no one's flying the plane. There's no one in the cockpit. And he's using his hammer to like crawl through the air on his wing to fix the plane in midair. Are you listening to the words that are coming out of my mouth? I mean, what the man? What the this short was so good until now. What? I'm supposed to believe? Not even in a animated movie can you believe this shit. Come on, man. You have to be, you know you're on my side. You know you're on my side on this one. That's ridiculous. I mean, this 18-year-old kid's Tom Cruise in 1941. He's hanging off airplane wings and shit. No one's in the cockpit. He's not attached. I mean, it's just, wow. I mean, whoever wrote this short or directed this movie, like, I cannot believe, I just can't believe everyone was in a meeting room watching this finished product being like, yeah, let's greenlight this. This is awesome. It's like, let's start drinking, man. Let's start drinking, because I'm mad now. It's like 5 a.m. Nevertheless, we cut back to an actually very cool moment in this short where John Torres notices when that piece of fire comes off his wing and the Predator ship shoots at it, that it tracks heat. So it's just him and his commanding officer that's left. So he's like, let's just go super high up in the altitude, cool off the engines, turn them off, so literally the Predator ship cannot detect them at all, which I thought was a super genius idea with the whole heat vision thing and turning off the engine. And then you get this, when I say spectacular, amazing, awesome-tacular, it's just Torres, because I forgot to tell you the other dude sacrifices himself. It's just Torres's plane going up the air in the clouds, and you see the big Predator ship behind it, and then it just like lulls, right, because the engines are off, and then it's like falling down. Oh my god, that scene was so cool. And he's able to get behind the Predator ship and shoot at one of like the space exhausts in the ship. But long story short, they end up going on this wild goose chase. He ends up dragging the Predator ship towards the battleships, and it gets hit with one of their heavy artillery cannons, which causes it to fall in the water. He thinks it's all safe and done. I thought it's all safe and done. I'm like, man, he did it. And then you see the Predator ship under the water. That was an awesome shot too. And it comes out chasing him, and you're like, and then he once again does some crazy, unbelievable, unrealistic shit to blow up the Predator ship, and then he falls in the water. And just to put the cherry on the sundae as how unrealistic this is, he takes out the flare gun to like shoot the flare gun to show them that he's still alive out in the water. And it's like, buddy, you just fell in the water. Does that flare gun not work anymore? Am I retarded? Like, please comment below. Are flare guns waterproof? Because from my impression, they're not. But one thing I will give this short that's better than the other two is that the other two shorts, the warriors are just sitting there, and then it just fades to them being like locked up in the Predator ship. They don't show anything or how they got there. In this short, there is an abduction scene. And you know me, my horror fans out there, you know I love me some alien abduction movies. So this scene was vibes, bro. He's back at the workshop where his dad used to work, and it's like a car shop in the middle of nowhere. He hears something, he's all weirded out, so he goes out, and it's nighttime. It's super quiet. He goes out into the middle of the road. There's no one. I mean, it's like a life moment for real. And then you just see the Predator ship right behind him, abduct him, and then you see crop circles in the crops. Like, bruh, that was a nice little fine touch. I'd like to see the abduction scene from the other two. They just appeared in the ship, but then we cut back to all three of them being prisoners on this Predator ship, and they all get to know each other, and none of them can talk the same language. So they're and then they get thrown into this like gladiator version of the Yayunchas. Oh my god, this is awesome! We finally get to see the Predator planet. I've been wanting this for so long. I know we've seen it like one time. I think it was in Alien vs. Predator Requiem, but we don't see much of it. We just see the Predator on his like king chair. But in this movie, man, oh my god, it's so cool. The skull in the stadium and the ship that arrives, the King Predator, like, because obviously it feels just in line for like the Predators, right? Like, they're hunters, they like to fight, they like to prove themselves, that, you know, warrior code. So it totally makes sense that they would have their own version of like a gladiator setup, right? Like, throw these badass prey in there, throw a Predator in there, and let's see who the fuck's the best. Like, let's see. So the King Predator tells them that this is gonna be a fight to the death between the three of them, and the winner shall fight him in a battle to see who's the alpha, who's top G. But they bring this Yayuncha out there with the same collar that they have, and it explodes his head. So I guess that was just a demonstration of like, if you don't follow orders here, we're gonna you up, all of you. And then the King Predator tells them that each warrior shall receive a weapon from their era. So the Viking girl gets a battle axe, the samurai guy gets a samurai sword, and this scene made me laugh so hard. The World War II guy gets a like pistol from the 1700s, like a musket, dude. Oh my god, he's like, this shit ain't from my century. What the I'm so god damn it. I think in that moment John Torres became my favorite character, because I felt so hard for him. Like, could you imagine seeing a Viking and a samurai, and you get a dumbass musket pistol from the 1700s? Thank you, God, for a great life. I loved you, Mom. I love you, Dad. This is it. And did you know that the pistol that John Torres receives in Predator Killer of Killers is the same pistol that was given to Danny Glover at the end of Predator 2, which says Raphael Adolini 1715. Follow for more Easter eggs. I thought that was such a cool little throwback to Predator 2, which is a guilty pleasure of mine. After watching that movie, I'm like, when are they going to bring that pistol up again? When are they going to bring it up again? I think they bring it up in Prey, but I just love the whole context of how they brought it into this movie. It's a lot funnier. It's a lot more memorable. I was laughing my ass off. So they all start fighting. This giant monster comes out, and it's like, this is like a homage to Star Wars. It felt very much like Star Wars, The Return of the Jedi, the last one with Luke Skywalker, where he gets trapped in that cell and they bring that big monster. It felt very similar to that. But John Torres gets eaten alive. I was like, oh, they just killed John Torres. Okay, I guess we're down to 2. But apparently this is the unrealisticness of this film. He's still alive, and he's like cutting his way out of the dude's stomach. It's just little things like this, man, that it's like, this movie could have been perfect. It could have been perfect. But the samurai dude is trying to tell her, like, we can't fight each other. Like, this is just not worth it. Let's team up and try to get out of here with each other. But this bitch crazy. The bitch is crazy. And she just goes hardcore. But they end up killing the big monster, and he's still in the stomach, and they push the monster out into some like other place. And the last two are fighting, but the samurai dude puts his sword down. He's like, I am not going to do this. And so the predator is getting ready to like blow them up. But for some reason it doesn't blow up because John Torres comes out of nowhere and he had like the predator gauntlet. So apparently that stopped it. I mean, that's a stretch for me, but hey, we've already had so many stretches in this movie. So they hop on this like whatever motor space vehicle up to the King Predator, and then the King Predator's like f***ing them up, but then they start working together and they start f***ing him up, and John Torres is just in the background trying to start up the Predator ship because he's the pilot out of all of them, which is so ridiculous. You know what? I think people that hate this movie are justified. I'm gonna say it. They're justified because there's so many bad moments where you're just like, what? This makes no sense. The kid who's never flown before on his first day is doing all these crazy maneuvers in the air with the pilot, and then he's gonna fly a Predator ship, which is completely different maneuvers and mechanics and language. Suspend my disbelief. I get it, suspend my disbelief, but to a certain extent, guys, come on. He starts the engine of the Predator ship and then like blows the Predator back. The other two are able to stay there because of her shield sticking to the ground. They hop on board, but obviously the Predators like shoot this chain that keeps the fucking ship tied down. So the girl sacrifices herself by like zip lining down the chain and breaking the chain off, and they are able to escape. So the King Predator says, let's go hunting, and that's the end of the movie. So obviously they're teasing that they might do a sequel, they might keep going, which will be pretty cool. Now there's one kind of post-credit scene that we gotta talk about. They don't kill the Viking lady, they like freeze her up and they like store her in this like warehouse where there's a bunch of other bodies and other prey and animals. I'm surprised they didn't put like a xenomorph Easter egg in there. You know, I feel like that would have been cool. But you do see the girl from the movie Prey, the last Predator movie. She's also like, I don't remember them capturing her. What was the end of Prey again? Like, she f***ed up the Predator, and then doesn't she get that pistol at the end? That's what I remember from the end of Prey. I don't remember them capturing her. So she's captured? She's just there frozen in the f***ing thing. Hey man, what is going on here? Now, I truly enjoyed this film. With that being said, there are many flaws, but the way I like to defend it is, let's say you're dating just a 10 out of 10 hot model, like a swimsuit model, and she's a total bitch, and you're just like, oh my gosh, she's nagging at you, she's annoying, she is like so high maintenance, you're like, god damn, there's all these flaws, but the sex is great, so I can deal with it. If I'm dating Sydney Sweeney and she's a total but she gives me a blowjob, hey, it's gonna be okay. It's just unrealistic at times for me, even for a cartoon, even for suspending disbelief because it's a movie. There's still a line where you don't cross. The motherfucker hanging off the wing of the airplane, it's his first time flying and he's doing this, like, come on. Come on, not cool. But what was cool, the Predators are badass. The character setups are amazing. The fight scenes and the warriors that they pick, samurai, World War II, Viking, just great options. I love the anthology format. It's a good time. Check it out. If not, hey, if you hate this movie, I can see why. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I enjoyed it. Now let's talk about the latest entry in the franchise, Predator Badlands. And oh boy, I'm gonna upset some people because everybody sucked this movie off. They were just like, this is the best Predator movie, best Predator movie. And I'm like, okay, all right, let's go check it out. I got out of the theater and I fucking hated this movie. I don't know what it is that you guys see in this movie. I fucking hated it. There's no better example of a movie being Disneyfied. We've always heard that term, like the Disneyfication of movies or franchises. This is the perfect example of that. Predator is not supposed to be the nice guy, not supposed to be having feelings and all this gay shit. And listen, I respect they took a new swing because we're kind of repeating ourselves with, you know, a bunch of soldiers or a bunch of elite people going against a predator. Everyone dies 1v1 at the end and someone beats him. It's the same shit. So I respect they tried something new, but god damn it, sometimes it's a swing and a miss, and this was a swing and a fucking miss. So the movie starts off with the Yautja code on the screen, which is like Yautja are prey to none, friend to none, predator to all. And then we see these two Yautjas fighting with like lightsaber swords, and like, oh my god, I already hate it because it's like, what the why are we trying to make this like Disney Star Wars with the swords and they glow? I don't like this at all already. But apparently they're brothers, and one of them gets the upper hand on the other. He gets back up. He's like, you still got much to prove. He's like, I'm a Yautja. And his brother tells him, not yet. And then we see them hanging out in the Predator spaceship, and his older brother tells him to earn your place in the clan, you must choose your prey and bring it home or never return. And as they're talking about all this, they're kind of looking at like all these planets through this like laser projectile thing. And the Predator has an interest in the planet Gina, which is the death planet, home of the unkillable Callus. And his older brother tells him even father fears it. So Deck is like, okay, that's gonna be my trophy, the Callus. He's like, father calls me the weakest, so I must kill the strongest. And his older brother's like, bro, I can't allow it. That's insane. And then out of nowhere, their father arrives, and he's asking the older brother, like, why is it not done? And the older brother says, bro, he deserves a hunt. He's like, this is our clan's weakest. You must kill him. Weakness must be cold. And he's literally talking about just killing his own son. So he puts this like laser bounds on him and orders his older brother to kill him. But instead of doing that, he sets his younger brother loose, puts him into the ship with this like laser thing, shields off his dad, and starts fighting his own father, but the dad uses the invisibility cloak and kills his own son as the younger brother watches in the ship. But before he dies, he presses on his gauntlet and sends him to planet Gina. Now remember in Predators when like you think Adrian Brody takes the ship away and the Predator just pressing a button and explodes the ship? Why couldn't the dad, who's like the leader of the clan, just do that with this ship? Anyways, he arrives on the death planet and he starts putting all his weapons together. And I don't know why the weapons just don't feel cool in this movie. It's not like AVP where you're like, man, this is badass. With all the glowing red lights, it really feels like, man, this is some f***ing Disney Star Wars bullshit. And before we go any further, look at the face design of this Predator and look at the original face design from 1987. How the f*** did we go backwards? This sucks ass. Anyways, he gets into a scuffle with like all these vine monsters on the planet and he's able to escape. He doesn't kill it, but he's able to get far enough where they can't reach him. And when he turns around, you see the death planet Gina, and then the title card comes on, which is actually a pretty badass shot. Once again, there's some cool ideas in this movie, but the way they execute it is just horrendous. Like going to the death planet, the most dangerous planet in the galaxy, like that's a cool setup for a Predator movie who wants to be the best hunter in the universe. And when you see like the dragon-like monster flying by and this like dune sandworm hanging off in the edge, it's like, man, this is gonna be badass. But not so much. And then we cut to Deck walking down this field with a bunch of weird plants all around him. And then he hears this noise in the distance, which is like some girl synthetic, and it has like universal translation, so it can speak directly Yautja. And then a dragon-like creature just hovers above him and then picks up a rock and throws it into the field that he's in, which makes the plants like shoot out these spikes. And the synthetic girl explains to him that the needles are gonna paralyze you and then it's gonna eat you alive when you can't move. And he gets hit by several of the spikes, so he starts to get paralyzed, and so he decides to throw one of his weapons to the synthetic so that she can get out and help him. And right before this apex predator can kill him, the synthetic tackles it and slices it up off screen and kills it. Listen, I know synthetics are strong, but god fucking damn, to take out an apex predator like that with wings like a fucking dragon, already far-fetched for me. He picks her up and she says, I'm synthetic by the Weyland-Yutani Corporation for research because their humans wouldn't last a day on the planet. So obviously, since they mentioned the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, you're starting to think this is gonna set up another AVP movie, which I would love, as long as they don't take this fucking direction with the movie. So she tells the Predator that she's seen the Callus, which she knows he's hunting. So she says, if you take me with you, I'll guide you to its den. Once I'm there, I'll get my legs, you get your trophy, and everyone's a winner. And he doesn't want to accept her help, but she convinces him by like, I'm a tool. I'm not like a person helping you or anything. So if you use me as a tool, he's like, all right. And he accepts. So he's carrying her as he's traveling around this planet, and she's just being annoying as f***. This is one of the things I don't like about this movie. Like, she's just trying to be this quirky, funny comedy relief in the movie, and it's like, I don't need this. This is what Disney does. This is what Disney does with Star Wars, with f***ing Marvel, now with Predator. Fuck. So they finally rest for a night, and then she tells him that she's been stuck on this planet for about 2 years, and she came with like a bunch of other synthetics, and she explains to him that her and her sister are kind of different than the other synthetics because they're a little bit higher sensitivity, meaning I guess they like understand emotions more or something like that. Gay.
Ha!
And so all the synthetics were exploring the planet, doing research, and then the callus came and destroyed everyone. But then we see that he just fell asleep because he's bored from her talking, which is exactly how I felt in the movie theater. Anyway, she lost her sister, but she refused to believe that she's dead. And then we cut to her sister, who's all fucked up from the callus attack. And I will say them repairing her was a pretty cool scene. It was very futuristic kind of sci-fi thing. Pretty cool. And then the Weyland-Yutani Corporation starts talking to her saying, continued failure will result in your decommission. And she asks where her sister is, and then the company tells her that the Yautja, a new life form that was detected, has her. Now we cut back to Thea and Dek, who arrive in this like field of very sharp like razor glass leaves, and they encounter this other weird animal who just hops into the grass like it's nothing. So the predator starts jumping around trees to avoid the sharp leaves, and then he encounters that little monkey creature again. They start fighting, and he finally grabs a hold of it, and the big rhino monster comes charging at them, and he throws his little Star Wars sword right into its face, splitting the creature in half, which is a pretty cool scene. And then he gets attacked again by a new creature called the Luna Bug, which is super terrifying. It's like hanging out in the trees and it's about to eat them. But the monkey creature comes out of nowhere again and saves them. So they start running away as the Luna Bug starts chasing them, and they go back into this field of the sharp leaves, and the Luna Bug is going after the little creature thing, and then the predator cuts down a tree, jumps on it, and like kills it by like slicing it up in the back. And then we see Thea's sister synthetic with a bunch of other synthetics who just completely destroy the vine monster like they're nothing. Once again, I don't like how the synthetics are so powerful. It doesn't add to anything, and it's just cringe as when you see her like grab the fucking thing. And so now he has another companion, which is another thing I hate about this. Dude, this is just getting cringier as the movie goes on. We got the annoying synthetic who won't shut the fuck up, and now he's got a little quirky animal companion. Tell me this doesn't feel like a fucking Disney movie in every worst way possible. So they're having this little campfire, and Dek tells him his little backstory and gets all in his emotions and feelings. Gay? Gay? I don't want the Predator expressing his fucking feelings, okay? What made the first Predator so great and special was the mystery of it all. You didn't know about this thing. You don't know if it has feelings or emotions or a family or if it's a one of a kind. You know nothing. And that adds to the fear as well. Fear of the unknown. Like, we don't need an explanation to all this bullshit. And then we see the synthetics who are tracking them down, and they see the Predator spaceship. So she goes exploring inside, she sees all the trophies, and then she also sees the weapons. One of them being the plasma cannon, and that's the one that she takes interest in. Anyways, Thea names the little cute creature, and he's like, I work alone, we're not taking him with us. And she's like, you're not alone, I'm with you. And he's like, yeah, but you're a tool. That thing's a living creature. So they decide to leave it behind, and they go to this waterfall, and they see a tooth from the callus, so they think they're getting pretty close. And then they have another sit-down talk, and she explains to the Yautja that back on Earth, there's a predator known as the wolf. It's a powerful creature, but they hunt in packs. They're very loyal. And the leader of the pack is the alpha, known as the most dominant. And the alpha isn't the wolf who kills the most. The alpha is actually the one who best protects the pack. Kind of offering the Yautja like a different perspective from his own culture, which is very savage. Now, the landscape shots are pretty f***ing cool, I will say. I feel like I'm watching Lord of the Rings all of a sudden. And then they finally find the wreck site of Thea's old crew. And then he helps her connect herself to the wire so that she can understand what's going on. And then she tells him like, Dek, you gotta get the f*** out of here. I called Tessa and they're on their way. And she's like, you can't be here when they arrive. But she's like, listen, the company sent us here to capture the callus. And he's getting super pissed like, what the f***? You betrayed me. You f***ing used me. And she's like, I'm trying to help you. Get out. Once again, I just hate seeing these back and forth with the Predator and him thinking and contemplating and showing emotions. This is absolutely not what I want to see from a Predator movie. So Dek uses his lightsaber sword and lights the oil on fire, and there's like this big explosion, and he roars, kind of calling the callus over so he can kill it. And then the callus finally arrives out of the mist, and it's a pretty badass creature. I was like, this is pretty cool. That's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of these movies have cool ideas and they just don't execute it well, because like I would love to see Predator go to like these exotic planets where there's like these dinosaur-like type monsters and he's fighting all these creatures. That is a cool idea. So he starts fighting the callus, cuts it down the middle, cuts his tail off, and then we see the monster regenerate itself, kind of like, you know, that mythical creature with the 3 dragon heads, and if you cut one off, 2 more like come out in Greek mythology. Don't know how I feel about that. It's a little bit far-fetched, and also it's like, we're already suspending our disbelief so much. How much further are we gonna go? Like, this is completely going into like fantasy territory. Anyways, Thea tries to help him by using like a gun and shooting at it. Deck is able to get this chain hooked on its mouth, gets the gun, shoots at it, gets its tail trapped as it's running up its back, jumps. You get a pretty cool slow-mo shot where it decapitates its head, but obviously it just reattaches its head and it's totally fine. But before it kills Deck, it's like smelling him, and then you see one of the predator weapons that the other synthetic girl uses to freeze him up, and they take all of them captive. So they have Deck captive, and Thea's sister synthetic is like talking to it, and she wakes up her other synthetic sister. She's super excited to see her, and then she's like, you're totally right, the Calic is a regenerative, you know, monster, and you know, the Weyland-Yutani Corporation would love stuff like that because they're trying to like use the xenomorph for stuff like that. And then she's like, but you also got a Yautja, which is a great additional catch, and she like injects him with this thing, and then she's like, oh my god, this is not good. So she's like, whoa, the Yautja is actually not a great specimen, not ideal whatsoever. And then they put the wires in its ears to analyze it even more, and Thea's trying to be nice by like saying like, let's just salvage its weapons and leave it alone, trying to be like a friend. But she's like, no, we're gonna need a sample for research. So it just continues using these wires on its brain, which clearly is hurting the Yautja. So Thea, out of her emotion, presses these buttons and stops the operation, and her sister's like, Thea, this is what is asked of us. And she's like,
we can be more than what is asked of us.
This is what is a good Predator movie to you? Like, this is the dialogue you guys like? I mean, come on. And Tessa's all like, we're here to exploit these creatures. And she's like, but he rescued me. And she's like, I'm not here to rescue you, I'm here to complete the fucking mission. She's like, when I try to protect you from the callous, look what that cost me. So no more protecting. The weak must be cold, and Thea, you're broken. And then another synthetic walks in and is like, Thea, another message from Mother. So she gets distracted and goes away. And before she leaves, she's like, box her up. And as the other synthetic is looking at his weapons or its devices, Thea's talking to the Yautja, and he's like, what do you guys say? And she's like, I'm just asking it how the device works. And then he's cleverly telling her like how to use it, which is a weapon. And she's like, oh, it's a map, you know? Open this. And it like kills the synthetic. So she sets him free and he escapes. He goes back to his predator ship, does some surgery on his wounds, and then we see Deck preparing some like old school weapons, since now he doesn't have any of his like cool weapons. And then he sees the blue monkey creature again, and he realizes that the reason why the callus didn't kill him is because that's the callus baby, which I don't know why nobody pointed this out. This doesn't look anything like the goddamn motherfucking callus. So they like team up, and he also sets Thea's legs free, so it starts walking on its own, and they follow it. And oh my god, look at his predator mask. Oh my god, why this movie is trying to piss me off. You've had so many cool predator mask designs, and this is like so fucking lazy. Look at this. This doesn't look cool at all. Who the came up with this design? Like, this is the one we gotta go with. He should have used his brothers. Anyways, they show up at the Weyland-Yutani Corporation base, and they do a bunch of like sneak attacks, using the legs as a distraction and killing off all the other synthetics. And the monkey's also helping him out. And as Tessa's talking to Mother, she's like, we're about to load the callus. Priority 1 complete. The specimen has been acquired. And then Mother asks like, what is the status of the Yautja? And she's like, the Yautja's dead. And there's also this scene where like you see Thea's legs take out one of the synthetics, which just has to be one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen. And then Thea and Deck reunite, and then the Predator faces off with one of those like transformer things, kind of like retreading that scene with Sigourney Weaver in Aliens, where she's like, get away from her, you bitch. And as she shoots at Deck, the little creature on Deck throws himself and self-sacrifices himself to save Deck. Do you hear the words that are coming out of my mouth? I mean, this is so Hollywood, so Disney-fied. Like, they're trying to make this like Marvel type Transformer fight at the end. Like, god damn it, dude. So obviously Deck is having a hard time defeating this Transformer like thing, but he is able to get close enough to stab Tessa, but he backs off, and then they let loose the callus, and then they fight against each other, and the callus is able to like break it in half, defeat the Transformer like machine, and the callus eats Tessa. And the callus finally reunites with its baby. It's a heartfelt moment, but it's not over yet. The callus explodes from the inside. Tessa is still alive, and she's using the Yautja's plasma cannon. She's aiming at her sister, but Deck is able to stab her from behind and kill her for good. And then Deck decides to return home and confront his father, and the trophy that he brings is not the head of the callus. It's the head of Tessa, which I thought was kind of cool. Like, this is one of the biggest prey or one of the most dangerous threats in the universe, is these goddamn humans and their f***ing technology. But obviously the dad's like, what the f is this? This is a f***ing joke? So they end up fighting, and the father puts on his invisibility cloak again, but instead of getting away with it, Deck turns on the ship, which throws the dust around, and he can see the silhouette of his dad, and he defeats his dad in the end, puts him down, and the baby Callus, which is not a baby anymore, eats his head. And all three of them are there, so they're kind of like a group or their little gang now. And then you see another spaceship approach, and she's like, who is that? And he's like, that's his mother. Look, guys, I've already said it 1,000 times in this part of the review. This is just exactly what I don't want from a Predator movie. I don't want to see his feelings. I don't want to see him talking about his emotions. I don't want to see fucking Predator with a sword that glows like a goddamn lightsaber, and then there's a Transformer fight at the end. It's just, what the fuck, man? The definition, the textbook definition of the Disneyfication of a franchise. That's this movie. That's what I gotta say about it. So, this movie, and if you like it, good for you, man. More power for you. I hated it. So that's all the Predator movies reviewed, recap. If I had to give a quick ranking right off the top of my head, I'd probably have to go Predator 1, obviously, then Predator 2 because it's still nostalgic for me and I grew up with that movie, AVP, then Prey. Prey is technically a better movie than AVP and Predator 2, but I'd still go in that order. 1, 2, AVP, Prey. What would I put after that? Predator, Killer of Killers as number 5. That was pretty good. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I might put AVP Requiem as my number 6. How about that, dude? Because I definitely think it's better than the rest of them. I'd probably put Predators as my number 7. Then Predator, Badlands, and The Predator as the last one. That's my ranking off the top of my head. It could change, but right now that's what it is. Let me know if you guys enjoyed this video. This is a massive video that I worked on. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Click that subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Comment down below what other franchises would you like to see me do a deep dive on. And let me know if you like this style of video, and I will catch you guys on the next time. Peace.